The US Open 2022 with Sarah Mulkerrins on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Here we are for the final round of the US Open with a gritty Englishman in with a chance of winning one of golf's toughest tests. Matt Fitzpatrick won the US Amateur at Brookline 9 years ago. Can he claim his first major on a course he likes today? But the big names are coming. Look around. There's the world number one in Scottie Scheffler. There's the defending champion in Jon Rahm. And of course, bringing all the emotions to the fore, Rory McIlroy. This course, these players, this championship is volatile. We'll have all the drama until the close of play here on 5 Live. So let's get out to our correspondent, Ian Carter, at the course in Boston for the very latest scores on the board.
And what a fabulous start it's been for Matt Fitzpatrick. He hasn't put a foot wrong. He's picked up 2 birdies as well. He's through 5 holes. He drove the short par 4 fifth, missed the eagle putt, but made the one coming back for his birdie, and that took him to 6 under par. Good enough for a share of the lead, and a little bit of daylight between him and his co-leader Scottie Scheffler and the rest. Scheffler has really hit the accelerator, almost Canadian Grand Prix style, by accelerating from 2 under to 6 under as he plays the par 5-8. Fitzpatrick at 6 under, and their closest rivals are at 2 under. Joel Damon, Jon Rahm and Will Zalatoris all at 2 under par. Colin Morikawa's climbing back up the leaderboard to get to 1 under par midway through his back 9. Rory McIlroy playing the 9th at 1 under par. It's been 1 step forward, 1 step back for the 4 times major champion today. And also at 1 under par is the Canadian Adam Hadwin. But at the moment, it's a 2-horse race. The world number 1 Scottie Scheffler and Britain's Matt Fitzpatrick.
Always fascinating, the US Open, and it's definitely setting up very intriguingly for this final round. We want to hear your thoughts. Do keep us company over the coming hours. Text us in with your predictions and all your views on the action so far. Text us into 85058. Tweet us at 5Live Sport and use the hashtag BBC Golf as well. And while you're listening to us, also get your BBC Sport website or app opened up beside you, because the guys are doing stellar work there. There is live text commentary from Brookline that you can follow there. So that was Ian Carter. I'm Sarah Mulkerrins. We have commentator Catherine Downs here beside me, and Zane Scotland, former European Tour player and now coach. The 3 of us are in Salford. Ian is obviously out in Boston. Before I bring in then Kat and Zane, Ian, just because you're out there, you're on the course, we saw yesterday was so tough with the scoring and everybody almost kind of went backwards. How's it looking today conditions wise?
Still a very, very tough test. It's breezy, it is cool, decidedly chilly, grey skies overhead. Grey seems to be the colour today. So many of the leading players wearing grey outfits as well, and with that thick rough, very small greens, a lot of pace in those greens, fast and firm. Here's Fitzpatrick to save par at the 6 and missing. He's 3-putted from the back left of the green. Frustration, the first setback of this final round day for Matt Fitzpatrick. He slips back to 5 under par. Scheffler leads on his own at 6 under. But to answer your question, Sarah, again, it's a very tough test. There are birdie opportunities out there, but I think anyone who makes par or better is making ground on the field. It's just going to be a question of what it needs at the very top of the leaderboard as it stands at the moment to deny the Masters winner and the world number 1.
So Zane Fitzpatrick there dropping a shot back to 5 under. What kind of player is he? Is he suited for this sort of test?
This sort of test is right up his street. He's a gritty player. He gets the most out of his game, and more recently over the last kind of year to 6 months to a year, he started to put on some length. And that's what's really elevated his game from being very good to possibly major championship winning level.
And Ian, you know, we've mentioned very briefly, alluding to it, his history and his track record and his love for this course at Brookline with that US Amateur. You know, how big of a part of it is it, you know, has it been for Fitzpatrick this week?
He's earmarked this from the moment that Brookline came onto the rota for its first US Open since 1988. As soon as he saw that, he was determined, one, to be here, and that was in no doubt at all, because he's a world-class player inside the world's top 20. But he felt that the golf course suited his game. Obviously it did when he won the US Amateur. And back then, you know, his parents had only booked hotel accommodation up to the quarter-final stage, and he surpassed expectations. He had to find somewhere to stay, stayed with a local family, and it's with that local family that he is staying. His brother Alex is here, who caddied for him as a 14-year-old back then, and his mum and dad are here. He's looked very, very comfortable. The body language has been really good throughout. And that's the first real setback, the one I just described just now, dropping back to 5 under par. How he reacts to that is going to be very, very important. We're going to see him now on the tee at the 7th. And Kat, I think he'll be in your sights right now.
Yeah, just taking a really good look at this line down the 7th, a par 4. 375 yards, right to left sloping fairway with trees down the left hand side, bunkers down there too. Really whippy backswing from Fitzpatrick, and that one goes looping down the fairway. No trouble at all for Fitzpatrick, so looking to bounce back, as you said, Ian, from that dropped shot on the 6th.
And it's interesting, Kat, you know, looking to bounce back, but actually he is getting more and more experienced of being in situations like this. We were all here, about 4 weeks ago, final round of the PGA Championship, and he was in the final pairing.
Yeah, it feels like deja vu, doesn't it? And actually he's been talking a lot about how that's helped him, how he feels like he is ready to win a major championship. We know we heard him say that at Southern Hills 4 weeks ago. He was like, yeah, you know, I think I'm going to win one. I think I'm ready to win one. But actually talking now, he said that experience that he has had of playing in a final group, he's ready here at a course that he knows really well. And he was actually happy enough to say that he'll be disappointed if he finishes his career without a major championship. So a sense of his own expectation on himself, Matt Fitzpatrick, as he heads out, you know, into the kind of business end of his front nine here in the final grouping once again at a major championship. Scotty Scheffler not judging so well his approach into the 8th there, Ian, dribbling off the front of the green, and they're treacherous fronts, aren't they?
They are indeed, that false front there, and the ball running back down to his feet. So that was his 3rd shot, now be playing his 4th shot just shy of this par 5. And Scheffler, who had such a big smile on his face yesterday when he holed his 3rd shot for an eagle on this par 5, now suddenly in a position where he's really got to knuckle down to make sure he doesn't lose ground on one of the few holes which can be set up to make sure that you make ground on the field. So here he is, 4th shot, wedge in hand. He's just got to give it a little more than the last one. Sends it up into the grey skies, up towards the flag, and then it stops and just puts the reverse gear on and tiptoes backwards, but settles down nicely to within 6-7 feet. So he should be able to save his par from there. The leader at 6 under par, currently 1 clear of Matt Fitzpatrick and 3 clear of Will Zalatoris, who's tapped in for a birdie at the par 3-6 to get to 3 under par.
Jon Rahm just pigeon-toed, he is, Jon Rahm, isn't he, as he addresses a putt in that slightly horseshoe semicircular putter. Slight swing of the shoulders, in it goes for Jon Rahm to save his par on the 7th. That's important for Jon Rahm. No loss of momentum after a bogey on the 5th, back-to-back pars on the 6th and 7th, and in it goes, and the defending champion stays at 2 under par, 4 shots off the lead.
Rory McIlroy now 174 yards out, playing his 2nd shot in here. McIlroy, and finding the front of the green. McIlroy on the par 4 9th, but not threatening the birdies that he needs right now. This might turn into another of those major frustration Sundays for Rory McIlroy.
Will Zalatoris is just eyeing up his next shot on the 7th. He's in the middle of the fairway. His caddy with that red bucket hat that we saw him wearing as well at the US PGA and at the Masters earlier on this year. Zalatoris yesterday was wearing a shirt that resembled a gingham tablecloth. Today he has a light blue number on with motifs speckled all over it. I'm trying to work out what exactly they are, but they look kind of evenly spaced navy blue spots all over his lighter blue shirt, navy blue trousers, white cap, and that kind of signature straight back, straight arms, long limbs, Zalatoris. And up goes the ball towards an enormous tree with a V-shaped trunk at the back of the green, and the pin is just nestled in front of it. Oh my goodness, is Zalatoris going to hole out? Oh, just by millimetres. That was an incredible approach shot, Zane, and that would have been incredibly useful for Zalatoris. Would have moved him up to within a shot of the lead if that had dropped.
Yeah, that was a fantastic shot. He nearly holed out from the fairway. He actually said after his interview, he didn't go at any pins, and he was certainly going at the pin there. And, well, what a shot, and that's going to get him right back in the frame.
Playing partner Matt Fitzpatrick, 158 yards out, doesn't like it, head bowed as he plays that one onto the front right edge of the green. The ball does stick there. His problem is that the flag is located way to the left of the green, so he's got to go all over the green. That was a miscue from Fitzpatrick, and I don't like that body language. The head went straight down there, Zane.
Yeah, he's just come off the back of that 3-putt from a long distance, and as you said there, shoulders kind of droop down. He knows he's going to fight that challenge again. Just as we take another look at Will Zalatoris' shot here, it was lovely, like low driven draw, put the ball back in stance a little bit, 2 hops, a bit of spin, and did everything but go in.
And if Fitzpatrick was playing from 158 yards out, that must have been about 162, and just to within a couple of inches of the cup. Perfect precision golf from Will Zalatoris.
Absolutely. Mentality-wise and temperament, just seeing, the reactions from Matt there, how does he handle those emotions on course when the pressure is on?
Well, he does kind of operate being a little bit angry at himself almost when he plays. So yes, he'll walk up to the green. By the time he gets to his putt, hopefully he will have shaken that off and he'll be mind back on the job. But maybe that was a little bit of watching Will hit such a great shot in there. Just put it on him a little bit, and maybe he tried a little bit harder than he was going to. Got a bit out of his game plan.
Zalatoris just tapping in there for his birdie that will take him to 4 under par, so 2 shots off the lead then of Scotty Scheffler, the world number 1, who is out in front with Matt Fitzpatrick a shot back on 5 under par.
Scheffler looking to save his par at the par 5 for 8th. Tall figure, won the Masters in imperious style, and now looking for a second major title. Leading, but needs this to remain ahead, and gets it. Little movement from left to right, and then the clenched fist. He knew that was important. He couldn't give up ground on the par 5, and he hasn't. He remains at 6 under, and he remains ahead by just that single shot from Matt Fitzpatrick.
Interesting with Scheffler, because we saw him have such a hot start yesterday, Zane, but then the back 9, he had a torrid time and he really fell back down the leaderboard. Will that be in his mind now?
It will definitely be in his mind. Hideki Matsuyama hold a massive putt from the back of the green there. Yeah, it will definitely be in his mind. I think he'll be relishing not only just trying to win another major championship, but getting another go at it, because he would have been thinking about that over dinner last night. So I think he would have come up with a little game plan, and we'll see if he's up to that challenge.
Aerial view of Matt Fitzpatrick, and that is an enormous putty, and just give us a sense of how big that is.
It's over 60 feet, and the statisticians tell us there's a 23% chance of a 3-putt here. Well, he 3-putted the last green, and there's a massive swing on it as well. He has to go all the way up to the back of the green, then to take the slope, which turns it from right to left, swinging back down towards the hole, and that is wonderfully judged. A beautiful putt from Matt Fitzpatrick to just a couple of feet away, and his caddy Billy Foster, who, remember, has never won a major, has never caddied for a major winner in their moment of triumph, just offers that little thumbs up there. That was brilliant.
Birdie chance for Rory McIlroy at the par 4 9th. You can hear the crowd willing it on towards the hole, but it comes up short to McIlroy. Misses the birdie chance again. He's got his jaw set, hasn't he, McIlroy? Grinding through yesterday's round, and the grind's on again today.
Next to the leader, Scheffler, his tee shot at the 9th, 4 under par for his round so far, and he fires off that tee shot, does Scotty Scheffler, down the middle of the fairway. It looks to me, just drifting slightly to the right, but ending up in the fairway, and a lovely shot from Scotty Scheffler.
So Matt Fitzpatrick then for his par on the 7th, just a foot and a half or so back towards the hole. In it goes. And he still looks a bit worried, Matt Fitzpatrick. That is genuinely his status quo, isn't it? Just that slightly concerned look on his face. Just how his face looks.
Yeah, he just doesn't quite sit back and relax. That's kind of in his the way that he plays golf. But that was a fantastic 2-putt there, from having 3 putts at the last hole and then getting on the very next hole having to hit another 60-foot putt to, as Ian said, with a 20% chance of a 3-putt. He'll be very, very happy walking off that green, having not had a stressful time having to hold out from 3 or 4 feet.
And if you traditionally think about Matt Fitzpatrick, one of his strengths in the past, before this season when he's put on this extra length, has been his putting. So is that going to be, like, I suppose we've seen Rory McIlroy get himself out of all sorts of tricky situations with his putting this week. For Matt, is it important for him to be able to rely on certain facets of his game?
Yeah, I mean, under pressure, that's when you see people's pace putting kind of get away from them. There, he played it absolutely brilliantly, so he's handled that really well. What he's going to have to do is start hitting the ball closer. He can't keep leaving himself 50, 60 feet too often, because at some point it does come back and bite you.
And on that then, when you're playing your approach shots in, it's Sunday, it's the final round, it's the US Open, you've got to go for it. But Will Zalatoris spoke about it yesterday. He didn't go pin hunting, did he? So how do you judge that?
Well, I mean, part of it is having a good caddy on the bag to tell you, to pull you off it sometimes, to go, now's not the time to go for it. When do you take the foot off the pedal? And then other times when to put the foot on the pedal. So that'll be a conversation between him and Billy Foster. A lot of these things these days are calculations. They'll for them, which would be going for the pin, maybe 6 feet right of the pin from a certain distance, or slightly towards the fat side of the green at different times. But there will be the odd moment. If they're going to win, they're going to have to just take on something that they're a little bit uncomfortable with.
For Scottie Scheffler, if we kind of bring it back to him, because it's looking like it's the two of them at the moment, and Zalatoris is getting himself back into a position. I was really interested with Scheffler yesterday, because when we saw him at the Masters, he was, nothing seemed to faze him, and it was all easy, and he was almost machine-like. And I know a lot of people can then not identify with him, but yesterday he showed some real emotion, didn't he? When it wasn't going his way, and it was suddenly like, I've never seen that side to him.
Well, he's essentially a different golfer now to what he was when we were at the Masters. When he was at the Masters, he was kind of going around with no expectation and happy to be there, and wasn't really carrying the weight on his shoulders. Whereas now, he's been world number one for quite a time. The expectation levels have completely changed from the outside and from himself. He'll be a lot calmer today playing the last round and being in the lead than he was at the Masters. Not because it was at Augusta, just because he'll know that he's done this before, and he knows what it takes. He's not guessing what it takes. So, and it becomes a completely different challenge. All of a sudden, you think you should be winning, rather than before you're just happy to be winning.
And we all know him now. I think, who out there listening tonight on Sunday night on 5 Live can honestly say they had heard of Scottie Scheffler really before he came and won the Masters. I mean, he was the world number one and all of that kind of thing, but unless you're a regular golf watcher or listener week in, week out, then Scottie Scheffler was relatively unknown coming into the Masters. Went out and played that incredible golf. And he said he was emotional, wasn't he? We didn't see it on the golf course, but he said before that final round, he broke down in tears and he was like, I don't think I'm ready to do this. And his wife had to say, now come on, Scotty, get out there and get the job done.
Here's Matt Fitzpatrick then with his next tee shot coming at the par 5 8th. Vital to find the fairway if he can. The fairway angling off to the left, and that tee shot looks like it's on a piece of rope. Driver in hand, and he has powered it down the middle of the fairway, just taking the contours which are swinging it to the left side, and it dances around a few divot holes but lands beautifully in the fairway. And a fine tee shot from the Englishman, who currently trails by just the single shot on this par 5 8th.
Interesting times at the US Open. Do get in touch, let us know how you're listening to the coverage of the final round of the US Open with Matt Fitzpatrick contending. Joe has been in touch saying Fitzpatrick looking on song could be a great evening with plenty of twists and turns, and Giles is also cheering on Fitzpatrick. He says it would be brilliant to see him win today. So you are listening to live coverage here on 5 Live of the final round of the US Open.
Scotty Scheffler, the leader, is playing his approach shot into the ninth. The water of the pond along the right-hand side of the fairway completely still. Just a slight movement on the red flag on top of the black and white flagstick that Scheffler flies, and the ball drops just beyond it by 20 feet or so. On he goes towards the flag, the leader, Scotty Scheffler, on 6 under par.
Lovely tee shot that from Scheffler to get himself in decent shape, and it's still the case, Zane, isn't it? Pars are golden at US Opens, and it's a test of patience as much as flair. It's a question of who's going to be the last man standing come close of play tonight, and all these players have to keep that in mind, because it's a mental test as much as a physical one.
Yeah, that mental test that you speak about there is like no other tournament. Just the hanging on, the normal PGA Tour week or normal golf week is make many birdies, whereas it comes to the US Open and it's all about old man par. You can just get through the odd par when it could be going awry. That will stand you in good stead. But for Matt Fitzpatrick, the real plus of his game is he's a fantastic driver of the ball, and if it's ever somewhere or a major you need to drive it fantastically, it's this one.
Here comes Scotty Scheffler, the leader then, and playing his second shot in. Lovely shot indeed. Oh, we're just sorry, I do apologise.
I was wondering,
There
I was
we
like,
are.
should I jump
Just
in?
Yes, you should have done. Replays. Everybody ignore me. I've gone at all levels.
We've all fallen for it.
We
Ian.
have all fallen for it many times indeed. Yeah, we have pictures coming in, obviously, from the host broadcasters, who are very enamoured with Scotty Scheffler at the moment, as they should be as American broadcasters, because they do have a home player at the top of the leaderboard right now. Zane, just to pick up on that, the challenge that this provides, and how it's different to the week in, week out. As a player, is there anything, if you're not used to playing like a lot of those American players playing on the PGA Tour, where it's a lot easier scoring week to, is there anything you can do to prepare yourself for this?
There's not a lot, not really a lot you can do. There's certain games you can play in practice. You can make it harder for yourself in practice to try and replicate the different strategy or different mindset you would need, because you can't be as aggressive. So, for instance, you can go out and play 2 balls, and you got to hit 2 balls off the tee, and you play your worst one all the time, which definitely brings you back to being a lot more cautious about your strategy and so forth. But in general, they just arrive here knowing that this week's going to be a real battle, and it's going to feel very, very different, and don't get down on yourself as much as you would do normally.
I don't mean this in the way that it'll probably come out and sound, so I'm going to caveat it to begin with. But can you be a worse player or a bad player and win the US Open, rather than being somebody who can shoot, 8-9 under par in a round?
I think when tournaments have difficult conditions and the scoring's high, sometimes you see someone come through who's maybe not a star or not quite have the talent. But I think with the US Open, it takes the most talent and then be able to stick it out and be there mentally longer. So I don't think you can't really back your way into the US Open title.
Answer that.
Zane,
very well.
I think it's really interesting with Will Zalatoris, when you look at his record in the major championships, where the courses are set up more difficultly than the PGA Tour. He's never won on the PGA Tour, yet he's had 5 top 10s in the 7 majors that he's completed. 2 of them runner-up. He was in a playoff. One of those runners-up was a playoff a month ago. Here he is now, right at the top of another leaderboard at a major championship. And it strikes me that he's got a game for the toughest setups. And actually, that then begs the question, are the PGA Tour setting up the courses in the way that they should do? And that, these birdie fests are actually not the way to test the golfers?
Yeah, I mean, that's such a good point. We chatted yesterday about Xander Schauffele. He had a similar sort of run without, not being a prolific winner, but being amazing at majors. And Will Zalatoris has now taken that mantle. And I think you're right. I think there's the way that the majors play as opposed to the PGA Tour events. They should be trying to squeeze those up. And maybe it's a change in par. There's a lower par at these, tend to be 70s and 71s, whereas most PGA Tour weeks are 72s. That has a different mindset, because you have to go out and find your birdies rather than being gifted them. But yeah, it's definitely a good question.
Scotty Scheffler has reached his ball on the green at the par 4 ninth, gently sloping green from front to back. And it's going borrowing round from right to left. It's not bending anywhere near as much as he and his caddy Ted Scott thought it would. And the birdie chance goes begging for Scheffler to extend his lead to 2 shots, so he'll stick at 6 under par. Just the 1 shot ahead of Matt Fitzpatrick. And Scotty Scheffler's been wearing the kind of all-American colours over the past couple of days, that kind of creamy off-white yesterday, and now head-to-toe navy today.
Jon Rahm needs to make this at the 8th to retain his chances of a successful title defence. Long-range par effort, misses on the left edge, and it's a bogey 6 at the 8th for Rahm, and that will drop him back down to 1 under par and 5 shots behind the leader, Scotty Scheffler. The live text commentary continuing on the BBC Sport website. Give you some details on that after this one from Fitz.
Yeah, huge thrash at the ball with the fairway wood for Matt Fitzpatrick, and he was marching after it and commanding it to sit almost as quickly as it flew off the face of its club, but sit it did. Pin high on the green in 2 for Matt Fitzpatrick at the 8th. The par 5, the massive 557 yard par 5, the only par 5 on that front 9 of Fitzpatrick, has reached the green in 2.
Yeah, that was a stunning shot with the green raised up there to get the ball to pitch on the green and stop it. We've seen Scotty Scheffler hit a wedge shot into that green. It spin all the way back down, come 50 yards back down the fairway. So no such troubles for Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, incredible shot that from Fitzpatrick. Sets up an eagle chance that could give him the outright lead. So the team on the live text commentary on the BBC Sport website, they're asking readers to send in their favourite golfing adventures with their dad, because of course it's Father's Day. The hashtag is BBC Golf, and it'd be nice to get involved in that conversation as well as this evening goes on. I remember my dad taking 18 on the 17th at St Andrews.
What, the road hole?
Yes.
Ooh.
He found every possible piece of trouble on that hole.
Oh, that's
and
brilliant. I love that. One of mine is when I was younger, and I was a little bit of a temperamental child. I know it's very surprising.
No.
And I do remember him just kind of turning and looking and almost muttering under his breath, just saying, "You don't have the patience for this game."
He was
quite right. You are listening to live coverage of the final round of the US Open from Brookline. We're going to be here on 5 Live until the close of play.
Will Zalatoris with his 3rd shot, so he's laid up to the green on that massive par 5/8. Matt Fitzpatrick's ball already on there in 2, and Zalatoris just too cute with that little chip up onto the front portion of the green. Wanted it to roll up towards the flag, towards the back of the green on the slope, but that one came to a sudden stop there, Zane.
Yeah, he's played that shot quite nicely a couple of times today, that low driven draw, which essentially took the spin off it, so it was quite, if it had any backspin on it, it would have come back down to his feet, which was 60 yards away. But that seems to be a bit of a hallmark of his game, those kind of punched in iron shots.
Rory McIlroy at the 10th must make putt coming for the Northern Irishman, having gone to the turn in a level par 35, littered with birdies and bogeys. This would get him to 2 under par and within 4 shots of the lead. Wearing a darker grey top, lighter grey trousers, matching cap, white shoes. Over this now. Couple of glances at the hole, sends it on its way, borrowing from right to left, turning towards the hole and missing just on the right edge. Frustration for McIlroy, and a chance goes a-begging. It was a lovely approach shot in there. He had a chance from 18 feet, couldn't take it. Now has to make sure that he doesn't 3-putt. Got a couple of feet coming back.
Scotty Scheffler on the tee at the 10th. It's the par 4, and he has this kind of imbalanced follow through, doesn't he? The back foot flicking round as though he sent a bowling ball down a 10-pin bowling alley, and the ball bouncing down the right hand side of the fairway there into the longer cut of rough on the right hand side for the leader. The tee shot over the water. Scotty Scheffler flies that, but into the rough down the right hand side.
And just looking at one of these elevated greens, Ian, just describe the course for everybody listening at home.
Yeah, it's very similar to a lot of English golf courses. Yeah, not dissimilar to a Sunningdale or that kind of place. The heather isn't there, but it's rolling sort of country ground with mature trees all around the outside of the course, thick rough, narrow fairways, and it kind of goes with the topography rather than through the topography. As we now see Fitzpatrick, this for eagle at the 8th. This would give him the outright lead, borrowing from right to left. It looks good, it's turning from right to left, and it cozies up next to the hole, and that will be the easiest of tap-ins for a birdie that will take him back into a share of the lead at 6 under par. He marks the ball and will make way for Will Zalatoris, but my goodness me, he's played this par 5 brilliantly. And it's a lovely golf course. There are a few rocky outcrops that are there as well, and you can see why Tiger Woods isn't here, because it is a very demanding walk ground, very undulating, a lot of elevations, a lot of steep downhill holes as well, and a really classic US Open test. And of course its history says that we're going to have a playoff, because every US Open that we've had here has ended in a playoff, going all the way back to 1913 and the great Francis Ouimet beating Ted Ray and Harry Varden in the US Open that brought golf to the masses. One of the great stories of golfing history.
Will Zalatoris, 2 shots off the lead, the American, a birdie putt for him on this par 5 8th, and he's left that one close, and that's been a bit of a problem for him, hasn't it, Zane, when it comes to closing out major championships, which of course he's not yet managed. The putter goes a bit cold on him in the final round.
Yeah, just coming up almost 2 feet short there, which was in the opposite to what I really liked about Fitzy's putt, was that it got to the hole and it had a really good chance, where we were just seeing Will Zalatoris tidy up now, but yeah, the ball doesn't run at the hole with quite the same pace as it has done the first 2 or 3 days.
So just a foot up the hill for Zalatoris to tap in for par, and he's spent a long time looking at that. I mean, yeah, that putter has burnt him a few times, hasn't it, when he's been on the verge of landing a big win. Fitzpatrick's got about the same distance, Ian, for his birdie.
Yeah, just a tiddler, putt ahead behind the ball. This should be a formality, and it is. He rams it straight into the cup, and it's another birdie for Fitzpatrick. Just the one drop shot, 3 birdies in his first 8 holes, and this Englishman, he's on a mission. He's identified this US Open as the one to make his major breakthrough, and there is every reason to suggest, with 10 holes to go, that he can do it. Yes, Scotty Scheffler's gone to the turn in a brilliant 31, but Fitzpatrick is playing perfect US Open golf right now and is sharing the lead at 6 under par.
Rory McIlroy has reached the treacherous par 3 11th, a tabletop green that rises up through the sea of rough with the long wilderness really surrounding it on 3 sides, and McIlroy flies the danger, lands it on the front right-hand side, and it just bobbles off into that rough on the right-hand side of the par 3 11th for Rory McIlroy, who's 1 under par 5 off the lead.
There's John Rahm playing into the 9th at 1 under par, and that lands pretty much pin high, level with the flag, but the wrong side of the green, and he's got about 20 feet for his birdie, the Spaniard, who looks a little disconsolate right now. It hasn't happened for him. He's moved from 3 under par to 1 under par through his first 8 holes, and needs to turn things around very rapidly if he's to be a factor and if he's to have any chance of having a successful title defence.
Zane, in terms of the scoring and how it's set now, are we looking at Scheffler, Fitzpatrick, Zalatoris, or, you know, is Rahm out of it, McIlroy out of it? He's a bit up and down.
They're still very much in this, because we saw how some of the players dropped shots in the back nine yesterday. So if they can hang on and get a couple of birdies soon, then there's going to be some more challenges for them.
Straight downhill, wind at the 9th, downhill as well for Matt Fitzpatrick, long iron in hand. This one drifting a little to the left and flirting with the rough, but landing in the short stuff. And a nicely played shot, now taking the contours which take it down into the middle of the fairway. The pin cut on the right side of the green, nice angle to attack from there, and Fitzpatrick continues to play very, very impressive golf.
Should we be surprised, Zane, about Fitzpatrick?
Not really, no. All the stats will tell you that he should be right up there. He's been leading the Strokes game this year. He's been putting in so many good performances. It would only tell you that come to the big stage that he'll be right there.
Scotty Scheffler's ball just nestling down in that rough to the right-hand side of the 10th with a jagged staircase of bunkers climbing up towards the elevated green on the left-hand side. And he takes a wild slash at that, his back leg flicking up as though he's doing some kind of elaborate dance move. And it skips through the back of the green and into one of those bunkers that curves round the back of the putting surface. He really went for that, Zane. Really took a thrash at it, didn't he?
Yeah, it was very Tiger-esque through the thick rough there. And I think he'll actually be quite happy that fought its way through the rough and into the bunker, because now he can predict how the shot's going to come out, and I think he'll be feeling pretty confident about getting up and down for his par here.
How bad is that rough around there?
Well, we'll just take a quick look at Will Zalatoris, Ian.
Yeah, on the 9th with his tee shot playing alongside Fitzpatrick. He doesn't look overly happy with that. Again, going with the long iron, and that one's drifted out to the right-hand side and settling down into that rough. And I can tell you it's sticky, that rough. I walk through it every morning and just sort of have a look at, I think it was Wednesday night or Thursday night, they just took the top off down the left of the 15th, but it's you wouldn't want to land in it because, and Ken Brown always makes this point, sometimes you could get a really nice lie there and other times it just sits down at the bottom, and that's part of the random nature of rough. It shouldn't be uniform, and it isn't really. My only argument with the rough is the collar of rough around the greens, so we're not seeing any great variety in the chip shots that the players are being asked to play.
So it is 9:30 this Sunday night. You're listening to live coverage of the final round of the US Open from Brookline, and Ian Carter, there is a very gritty Englishman fighting it out for that trophy at the top of the leaderboard.
There most certainly is, Sarah. His name is Matt Fitzpatrick. He is at 6 under par and he's sharing the lead with the Masters winner, the world number one, and someone who's really hit the accelerator on the front nine today, covering those opening 9 holes in 31 shots, 4 under par. So Scheffler charging at 6 under, Fitzpatrick grinding it out. He's at 6 under, having picked up 2 shots, and they're 2 shots clear of the next closest rival, Will Zalatoris, in the rough down the 9th. Zalatoris level par for his opening 8 holes, and at 4 under, just 2 shots behind. Former Masters winner Hideki Matsuyama looks like he could be the clubhouse leader in 3 or 4 holes time, because he's got it to 2 under, having started at 2 over, so on course for a 66. Joel Damon and Denny McCarthy have got into the group at 2 under. Colin Morikawa, with just 2 holes to play, has got back into the red figures at 1 under par, the same mark as Canada's Adam Hadwin. Keegan Bradley has slipped from 2 under to 1 under over the course of his opening 8 holes. So too John Rahm from 3 under to 1 under, and Rory McIlroy, I'm afraid, has dropped a shot at the par 3 11th. He's back to level par, and this winless run in the majors looks like it's going to continue for the Northern Irishman.
So do get in touch, let us know what you're thinking about the action so far. Text us into 85058 at 5Live Sport on Twitter. Use the hashtag BBC Golf, and also follow the live text commentary on the BBC Sport website and app. I know a lot of you have been in touch already. There's been some comments around Rory McIlroy. So alongside Ian Carter and myself, Sarah Mulcairns, we have Zane Scotland, former European Tour player, and also commentator Catherine Downs. We're going to keep you company for the next few hours. Let's do a little bit of McIlroy chat then, Zane. We've given ourselves 45 minutes before we've started it.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not talking about good stuff. He's hit the reverse button today. He's +1, and he's not quite delivering what we want from him.
Just interrupt the Rory McIlroy chat to bring you up to date with Scotty Scheffler, who's in the bunker on the front edge of the 10th. Just lifts that one out, and it just dances by the left-hand side of the cup, and that one's still working, still bending on those borrows and moving away to about 6-7 feet from the hole. But he just seems to have got the touch, doesn't he, Scotty Scheffler, at the moment? Out in front.
There's a tester coming though to keep him in a share of the lead at 6 under with Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick's playing partner is Zalatoris, 203 yards out from the rough down the right-hand side. Could just see the top of the ball, so he's got a chance at this and hacks away at it from down the right-hand side. And it flies up towards the green. Oh, that's a wonderful shot from Zalatoris, hopping onto the putting surface and coming up within 20 feet, maybe 18 feet from the cup if the ball stays there. But there is a slope that is making it tiptoe back towards the front of the green. It finally comes to rest, probably 19 feet from the cup.
So Matt Fitzpatrick's watched Will Zalatoris playing beautifully from out of the rough. Fitzpatrick is in the centre of the fairway, about 170 yards or so from the green, sends one up into the air, plops it down right into the heart of the green, and about the same distance away as his playing partner Will Zalatoris, 18 feet or so from the cup, coming up for Fitzpatrick for another birdie chance.
Denny McCarthy at the 12th having a great day. He's got it to 1 under par, this to get to 2 under par, curling it from left to right into the middle of the cup. And McCarthy, the American, moves into a share of 4th place at 2 under par alongside Joel Damon and Hideki Matsuyama. McCarthy off to the 13th with a birdie in his pocket.
Speaking of Hideki Matsuyama, he's made it to the 15th, 2 under par for the championship, 4 under par for his round, and keeping that one really low, kind of cutting it perhaps under the wind there, Zane, and up onto the front portion of the green, and it's still working. Plenty of pace on that one coming out of the rough, and it was one of those where he really calculated how best to flight that ball.
Yeah, he used a fairway wood there from the rough to get the head through the rough with enough speed and just carry the bunker, which is about 60 or 70 yards short, and chase it up. That was a very industrious shot that he's played there. He played it really, really well.
I mean, there was 50 yards of run before it even got to the green. That was a clever piece of play from the former Masters champion. The current Masters champion is Scotty Scheffler, looking to save his par and failing on the right edge of the hole. So drop shot for Scheffler at the 10th, and that means that he will tap in and slip back to 5 under par. And Sheffield's Matt Fitzpatrick out on his own, leads the US Open, playing the 9th.
Rory McIlroy for his part on the 11th. We already know, don't we? They think this is one that they're playing off the tape, that he drops the shot here. That one just drifting by on the left-hand side of the cup. So we're just seeing how Rory McIlroy slipped back to level par for the championship. It was about a 6-foot putt that he just had to give the gentlest of taps to, and it drifts by on the left-hand side. So that's where Rory McIlroy dropped that shot, and he's now 6 off the pace, the Northern Irishman.
Wonderful shot from Colin Morikawa into the 17th. That should be a formality of a birdie that would take him to 2 under par, the reigning Open champion who had such a miserable day yesterday.
Speaking of miserable days, imagine winning
Miserable jumper as well.
the US PGA a month ago, and then 7 over par at the US Open. But that's just golf for you, isn't it? Justin Thomas playing his approach shot into the final hole, the 18th. And the jumper that Sarah's alluding to is a kind of black and grey camouflage effect hoodie. And you know, I'm
all for a hoodie.
I'm
just
all for
no
a hoodie.
camouflage.
Yeah, no, it's not. Particularly not with white trousers. It's just a bit much. So when it goes to Justin Thomas, we're just seeing him holing out for a 74, 4 over par for the day. Justin Thomas, 7 over for the championship. But don't worry, Justin, you've got the Wanamaker Trophy back at home.
Quite like that outfit. Here comes Will Zalatoris for a birdie after that brilliant approach from the rough, sending it up the hill, borrowing from left to right. This looks very good. Oh, he's walked it in. He's walked it in from 20 odd feet. And that's a sensational birdie from Zalatoris to remind Fitzpatrick that he's still around, bouncing back. 3 birdies in his last 4 holes, and he goes to the turn at 5 under, just 1 behind.
I'm really interested to know how this works mentally now for Scheffler, because he's on the 10th and he's just dropped a shot, and how much, as much as he won't want to remember yesterday, but that's there, that scar tissue must be there.
it definitely is there for him, and he did unravel from around this point yesterday, but actually started at the next hole, the short par 3, where he hit not a terrible shot, just misjudged it, got a little bit too aggressive, and then from there it all seemed quite difficult. So it'd be quite interesting to see if he plays a bit safer today to not start that landslide.
Well, after his birdie, Will Zalatoris is standing on the edge of the 9th green, arms folded, watching Matt Fitzpatrick standing over his birdie putt. The flag in, as he is characteristically wont to do, loves to putt with the flag stick in the hole. And that one drifts by to the left-hand side, the birdie chance for Fitzpatrick to extend his lead. He'll have a tap in for his par and he'll stay one ahead.
9 holes to go for Matt Fitzpatrick, and he leads the US Open by 1 shot at 6 under par. Long range birdie effort from Matsuyama at the 15th, and he will tap in there to remain at 2 under par. This 11th's interesting.
Oh, I love the 11th. It's just like, it's like an island rising out of a sea of danger, isn't it? It's got this tumbling cascade of wild grasses that bowls down from the elevated tee towards this green in the bottom of this valley, and the spectators have created a well around the green, a kind of horseshoe of colour around the green, and the green just kind of sits up like a stage waiting for the ball to make its entrance. And Scotty Scheffler is there. He's had 2 clubs in his hand, trying to work out which is the best approach. 5 under par, Scotty Scheffler, the Masters champion, the world number 1 shot off the lead of Matt Fitzpatrick at the moment, and he's teed it up right to the left hand side of the tee box, and that sounded like a very funny sounding connection, perhaps because the microphone for the tee box is so close to where Scotty Scheffler's back foot is. Maybe he gave it a bit of a kick because it's landed in the heart of the green beyond the flag. And Scotty Scheffler is frowning after that one, so it's probably not as good as he wanted it to be, but it did sound mighty weird when it came off the face of the club, didn't it?
Yeah, it was a slight misjudgment there. He hit it long there yesterday. Luckily today the pin's at the front, so it means that even though he's hit it long, he's still on the green, and he's not in the bother that he caught yesterday. So
the leaderboard is this: Matt Fitzpatrick leads by 1 on 6 under, and then Scotty Scheffler and Will Zalatoris on 5 under just behind him. And then there's a little bit of an opening to the rest of the chasing pack. It looks as if it may well be down to these 3. So we've done an awful lot about Fitzpatrick. We've done a fair bit about Scheffler. Let's do a little bit of Zalatoris chat then, Zane. What makes him a good golfer?
He's got the mentality, but in terms of his game, he's just such a fantastic ball striker. Nothing really phases him, tee to green, and he's able to just hit those really nice, low-driven punch iron shots in. All of his iron shots, his arms don't go past his shoulders on the way through. And he just has so much control over them. Obviously knows his numbers, and his game just seems built for tough golf courses.
This can be a very obvious question, but surely aren't all golfers good ball strikers? Like, that's the whole thing about golf. Like, what makes people a cut above, even within pro golfers?
Yeah, I guess the gap at the top of the game is a lot tighter. But we're talking about major championships where there's another level of ball striking and control. And for Matt Fitzpatrick, it's about, he's fantastic off the tee. You know, he's got such a great driver of the ball, whereas Will Zalatoris, he's got good strategy, and his approach play is just second to none.
One thing I'd say about Fitzpatrick, bear in mind that in the last major he was in the final group going out with Mito Pereira at the USPGA, and it got to him. He played really poorly that day, shot 73, only looked good once he was out of contention. Today he looks a different player. I mean, he's playing immaculate golf, just 1 drop shot on that outward half, going to the turn in 33. He'd have snapped your hand off for a 33 outward half today. This is really, really impressive from him. And Zalatoris is almost keeping pace, went to the turn in 34. These are big time players. They've got big time temperaments.
Yeah, it was really noticeable at the PGA that Matt was hitting shots over the pin a lot. He was almost maybe a bit of adrenaline or just trapping it, and the ball was going, he hit it over the green quite a lot, and he would have gone away and thought about that and decided, okay, when I'm under pressure, maybe I was going to club down, or do I swing it slower? And he would have remedied that, and we've seen some really good iron shots today, and he's given himself genuine birdie chances. But the thing that I really like about today is had two putt birdies. So he's not had that stress and pressure on him, which was kind of the opposite was into Rory. He's having to, so a few times when he's had a one putt bogey or, in real disaster, whereas Matt is at the other end of the spectrum of that.
Are we going back to Rory then, seeing as you've mentioned it again? Ian Carter, golf correspondent. What are we making of Rory this week? I mean, Morikawa had a bad round yesterday. Justin Thomas, we've just seen there with a couple of bad rounds. Do you know?
I'm just keeping an eye on Colin Morikawa sneaking up here. 7 over par for his round yesterday, 77. And he's 4 under today, 2 under par for the championship. That's only 4 off the lead. Watch out, that sneaky Colin Morikawa climbing up the ladder. Dor?
Yeah, I think this is after yesterday. It's going to be a backdoor high finish for Morikawa. I think this is a different one for McIlroy. I mean, he's no stranger to a backdoor high finish in a major, as we know and we've discussed many times. And many times I've kind of questioned McIlroy's temperament in the biggest events. I'm not doing that this week. I think he's hung around on the leaderboard all week, and he has played some really ropey stuff from tee to green, but his temperament has kept him in it. He's not had his A game by any stretch of the imagination yet. Okay, he's now dropped down to level par and is out of it, but I think he's given it a real good crack this week. I wouldn't have any criticism of him at all.
Birdie putt for Scotty Scheffler on the 11th. It's got to take around the shoulder of the green, and it does, but it just comes around a little bit below the cup and finishes up 2 or 3 feet past for the par putt for Scotty Scheffler on that par 3 11th.
Matt Fitzpatrick then embarking on the biggest 9 holes of his life, the inward half at Brookline, leading the US Open by a stroke. Here's his tee shot with a 3-wood at the 10th, and he's found another fairway, and that swing looking very, very balanced. The composure is there, the portents are good, and the Englishman, leading the US Open at 6 under par by 1, finds the fairway as he starts the back 9.
You cannot go anywhere with the scoreboard just like this, and Matt Fitzpatrick leading the way on the back 9 at the US Open. We're going to have live coverage of every twist and turn to come yet here on 5 Live until the close of play this Sunday night. Interesting about Matt Fitzpatrick as well, he's very analytical and he records things after every shot. He has this little notebook, doesn't he, Zane, where he jots down all his notes, and he has a back catalogue and almost like a memory bank of stats.
Yeah, he does. He recorded every shot, I think, for the last 8 years, so he can go back whenever he looks at them ever again. I don't know, but we're just going to have a quick look at Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, for his par with a cloud of pink-hued flowering grasses over his right shoulder, just waving in the Boston breeze. 3 feet back to the hole for Scotty Scheffler, and it lips out. It catches the right-hand lip of the hole and it catapults itself another couple of feet away, and Scotty Scheffler, who was the outright leader of this US Open just a few holes ago, has dropped another shot at the par 3 11th. Just misjudged that one, and he will fall to 4 under par. 2 shots off the lead now of Matt Fitzpatrick, leaving Will Zalatoris in second position on his own.
Jon Rahm looking to save par at the 10th to remain in the red figures under par, currently at 1 under. Champion who won so thrillingly, holding birdie putts on the 71st and 72nd greens at Torrey Pines to defeat Louis Oosthuizen 12 months ago. Amongst the trailing pack this time, and taking every care over this putt as the putt ahead goes behind the ball. Widens his stance. You're right, Kat, it's a pigeon-toed stance, isn't it? The ball quite far back in his stance, and that was not a convincing stroke at all, and he dragged it to the left of the hole. Another drop shot for Rahm, and he is going to fall back to level par and half a dozen shots behind the leader, Matt Fitzpatrick of England.
So McIlroy and Rahm drifting away, their challenge fading somewhat, but Hideki Matsuyama, former Masters champion, well, he's here with a birdie putt on the 16th, and it drops for Hideki Matsuyama, and that will move the Japanese player to 3 under par. 3 birdies on his back 9, 12, 13 and 16. 3 under par, 3 shots off the lead. Hideki Matsuyama's coming, Sarah, another big name heading up that leaderboard.
Scotty Scheffler to make sure of his bogey, and he does, but that drops him back now to 4 under par, and Fitzpatrick lead is 2 now. Fitzpatrick at 6 under, playing the 10th. Scheffler with the bogey at the short 11th is back to 4 under par. Will Zalatoris, I should say, actually, of course, is at 5 under par, so the lead is 1, but it's between the two protagonists in the final pairing. This is building quite beautifully.
It certainly is, and it's just reminding me with Matsuyama climbing up the leaderboard what happened just a few weeks ago at the PGA Championship with Justin Thomas posting a good early score. So, you know, if Matsuyama could potentially get to 4 under by the end of his round, get in the clubhouse, chill out for a little bit, let the guys out on the course twist and turn their way around, because we don't know where it's going to end up by the time we get to the 18th, because we saw, particularly yesterday, this course can give a little bit, but it takes away so much.
Absolutely stunning hole, this 10th at the Country Club at Brookline. It's called the Himalayas because the players from the tee have to fly these towering rocky outcrops, and from where we're looking at Matt Fitzpatrick behind him as he takes his approach shot into the green, which is elevated with, as I say, that staircase of bunkers up the left-hand side, one of which Matt Fitzpatrick's ball has just plopped down into. Misjudgment from the leader, but those huge kind of stone cliffs that the ball has to fly. Beautiful topography out there in Boston.
I think that was a break, wasn't it, Zane? The ball not clagging up in the rough that surrounds those bunkers to the left of the green, and the ball actually falling into the sand, but that's a rare miscue from Fitzpatrick on this final day.
Yeah, definite plus. He'll be very relieved that didn't catch the rough and it's gone back into the flat of the bunker, so he can get that control on it. And it was a miscue, but he's gotten away with it.
So Zalatoris also from the fairway on this wonderful 10th hole, so beautifully described by Cat Downs a few moments ago, and a chance for him to pounce from 189 yards out. That tall, angular swing of his, very simple action through the ball, and it finds the putting surface on the front third. There is a slope there, and it is threatening to tiptoe down that slope away from the hole, but the brakes go on, and he's left it to within 25 feet of the cup. So advantage Zalatoris, but it is Fitzpatrick who leads. 6 under by 1 from Zalatoris and by 2 from Scotty Scheffler.
Colin Morikawa is knee-deep in those flowering grasses down the left-hand side of the 18th. This is his second shot into the 444-yard final hole at the Country Club at Brookline. Plays up towards this primrose-coloured clubhouse. And all the members sitting out kind of behind a white picket fence. It's all very 1880s, isn't it?
Scotty Scheffler has had a couple of bogeys on this 12th hole already this week, especially yesterday. And here he is, driver in hand with his tee shot, and fires it straight down the middle of the fairway. 473-yard par 4, and then the ball taking the contours and running just into the semi-rough down the right-hand side. So perhaps a little less control for Scotty Scheffler for his second shot into the green there.
The ponderous backswing of Hideki Matsuyama, and the Japanese player sends it flying high into the air on the 17th. So a couple of holes from home is the former Masters champion, currently at 3 under par, 3 shots off the lead, that one finding the centre of the fairway on the 11th, so no trouble for Hideki Matsuyama with just a couple left to play.
And worth making the point, I walked the closing 2 holes early this morning and checked out the pin positions, and both offer the opportunities of birdies. The 18th, the pin is near the front, but you can use the slope, and if you go far enough back to the slope, the ball will, with a bit of backspin, so if you're hitting from the fairway, suck all the way back down to the hole. Keegan Bradley with a near hole-in-one there. That's what the cheers were for. And 17 is a short par 4. If you play for position as Matsuyama has done there, you can set up a birdie opportunity there, but equally both holes can bite you as well. Here is Fitzpatrick at the 10th, splashing out of the greenside bunker, and that one needed a little bit more on it. Did it? No, it's tiptoeing towards the hole. It's very nicely judged by the Englishman, He's put it to 4.5 feet. Should be able to save his par from there and keep his nose in front at 6 under par.
It was really interesting trying to judge that ball as to whether it was suddenly going to stop or not, but it actually trundled on a lot more like it looked it was going to.
Yeah, he definitely knew a lot more than us. It was downhill all the way there. But yeah, an interesting challenge between them two, sparring backs and forwards, Zalatoris and Fitzpatrick now. That's going to, a bit of a match play situation may start to arise, but they've got to remember that Scotty Scheffler is right there.
Jon Rahm and Keegan Bradley playing who can get closest to the hole on the 11th there, and Keegan Bradley's been talking about being the hometown favourite. I was loving reading his quotes in interviews saying that as a kid he dreamed of playing at Fenway Park and of being a kind of big Boston sports star. He's born in Vermont, just a couple of hours away from the country club at Brookline. He said that's the closest he's ever been to feeling how it must be to be a Boston Red Sox player and play at Fenway Park in front of your home crowd. He said it was the best feeling he'd ever had on a golf course, and he's won a major championship.
He'll be there. He'll be there. Will this, potential match play feel suit Fitzpatrick? Does he thrive in that?
Yeah, I mean that's a good point with having won the US Amateur there when he was 18 years old, and also being in this sort of cauldron and feel. I wonder if he's tapping into those feelings that he had when he won that US Amateur.
Well, they're the feelings to tap into rather than his Ryder Cup record, because in match play there he hasn't won a point in 2 matches. But anyway, here's Zalatoris putting and looking for a birdie and coming very close to it. Oh, the brakes go on just at the very last moment, 6 inches shy of the hole, but it's a stress-free par, and they're very, very valuable. Taps it in. Does Zalatoris, keeps himself at 5 under and loads the pressure onto Fitzpatrick to make that par putt and keep his nose in front on that 10th green.
And Colin Morikawa will be looking to load the pressure on as well, looking for his birdie on the 18th. That one just comes up short and he can't believe it, wipes a hand across his brow. It'll be a par for Morikawa on the 18th, and he will tap in to stay at 2 under par, 4 shots off the lead, but he will be setting the clubhouse lead at 2 under par. In it goes for the Open champion, a final round of 66 after yesterday's 77. Quite the recovery.
Fitzpatrick to save his par. It's just rolled past the right edge of the hole. Frustration, doesn't get up and down. He drops a shot for the 2nd time in this final round, and that sucks him back into a share of the lead at 5 under par, and that suddenly brings other players into play. Perhaps not Morikawa, but certainly Matsuyama at 3 under, in good shape on the 17th, and then you've got Scheffler at 4 under, and the 2 co-leaders now, Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris, at 5 under.
It gives a little, but it can take away an awful lot, this course and the US Open. It's always a tough test. It's a grinder's championship, isn't it? But there is still a way to go yet until we see who will win the US Open in 2022. Right, we're just approaching 10 o'clock here on 5 Live. So let's take a break from the coverage of the golf and get the latest BBC News now with Stuart Clarkson.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thank you, Sarah. Good evening. The boss of the RMT Rail Union has warned tonight that the organisation is prepared to take part in industrial action for 6 months or even longer as part of its dispute over pay and job cuts. The union's due to begin a series of 3 strikes on Tuesday when around 80% of services will be cancelled. The RMT's General Secretary Mick Lynch has told the BBC his members will keep going until their demands are met. Exit polls for today's elections in France suggest President Macron is on course to lose his parliamentary majority. A new left-wing coalition appears to be making large gains. The far-right party Front National, led by Marine Le Pen, is also projected to win more seats than ever before. The new head of the British Army has warned his troops they must be prepared to face a renewed threat from Russia. General Sir Patrick Sanders says the invasion of Ukraine underlines the Army's core purpose, which is to protect the UK and to be ready to fight and win wars. And swimming's world governing body FINA has announced new rules that will ban all transgender women who've gone through any part of the male puberty process from taking part in elite races. Only swimmers who fully transitioned before they're 12 will be allowed to compete in women's races. Critics of the policy have called it discriminatory and harmful.
You're in the front row, blissed out, at one with the bass. Throwing shapes you didn't know your body can make. completely saturated in sound as the chorus begins.
Next stop, Station Road.
With exclusive live coverage and music sets on demand, everyone can be there without being there. Radio 1's Big Weekend. Watch on iPlayer, listen on BBC Sounds.
The US Open 2022 with Sarah Mulkerrins on BBC Radio 5 Live.
Yes, welcome back to live coverage of the final round of the US Open from Brookline in Boston, where we have two players at the top of the leaderboard searching for their maiden major. And Ian Carter, our golf correspondent, one of them is from England.
It is Matt Fitzpatrick, and he's just hit a lovely tee shot into the par 3 11th, but so too is his co-leader and playing partner, the American Will Zalatoris. They're both locked at 5 under par. They've both got birdie chances at the 11th. Up ahead playing the 12th, the world number 1, Scotty Scheffler, just one shot behind. Hideki Matsuyama on the 17th, former Masters champion, bidding for a second major. He's in the hunt at 3 under par with 2 holes to complete. The clubhouse lead after a superb 66 from Colin Morikawa is set at 2 under par. Out on the course on that mark is Denny McCarthy. Rory McIlroy is at level par. John Rahm's just birdied the 11th. He's in the group at 1 under par alongside Keegan Bradley and Adam Hadwin.
We're going to bring you all the twists and turns still to come here on 5 Live for the next couple of hours as we see who will walk away with that trophy. Do get in touch, want to hear your thoughts. Text us in to 85058 at 5 Live Sport, hashtag BBC Golf. We want to know what you're thinking. Future Retro Golf says great course setup at the US Open, proper test of skill, not the usual Bursey snooze fest. Gotta earn them. As does Scotty Scheffler if he's going to do it, Kat.
He does. He's just off the front of the green. He just, his approach shot caught the front slope of that green and pulled him back down towards the rough on the par 4 12th. Just putting up towards the hole there with his third shot. So that should be a tap-in par for Scotty Scheffler to keep him at 4 under par, 1 off the lead.
Now Matsuyama made a mess of his second shot and is having to chip for his third at the 17th. Controls it pretty well and threatens the hole on the left side before it runs on by 2.5, 3 feet. So it's going to be par at best for the Japanese player, which would keep him at 3 under par with 1 to play.
We're just getting a beautiful view of this 11th green, which looks like a tree stump, doesn't it? As if it's been chopped off right at the base of its stump, rising out of the ground, and then this perfectly flat top. And the tee way up the slope above the green. And Will Zalatoris
playing only 109 yards today, Kat.
Is that all it is? No distance at all. And it's just stunning with those wild flowering grasses, isn't it, Ian? Those kind of pinky hues. And they're all just blowing gently in the breeze because it's dropped, hasn't it, compared to yesterday?
Yeah, it's not quite as breezy as yesterday, but it's still testing enough as Zalatoris putts here and in and clenched fist. Oh, goodness me, gave Fitzpatrick the perfect read of the line, but he's thrown the gauntlet down to the Englishman with that. Zalatoris leaps into the lead at 6 under with a birdie at 11, holding from around 18 feet.
Yeah, some effort that, having got such a slow start and now taken hold of the tournament. Good for Matt Fitzpatrick. He's got to see that line, so I have no doubt on this as to where he needs to start this putt. It's just the execution. Can he do it?
Yeah, the American crowd loved that, didn't they? What can Matt Fitzpatrick do in return? It was like for like, with their tee shots just a couple of inches apart on the green, pin high. Matt Fitzpatrick 17 feet from the flag now, which is perfectly still, no breeze at all. Sends it on its way. Will it drop? Oh no, just grazes the left hand side, and Matt Fitzpatrick misses his birdie chance to follow Will Zalatoris to 6 under par.
Scheffler, to make sure he doesn't drop a shot at the 12th from short range, taps in to the middle of the cup. The Masters champion at 4 under par, 1 behind Fitzpatrick, 2 now behind Zalatoris.
Matt Fitzpatrick is just marching now around this 11th green. There's a huge torrent of fans pouring down the hill from the tee behind the green, because this is the final group out on the course. This, they feel, is where the title will be decided, and Matt Fitzpatrick taking a really good look at this one, Zane.
Yeah, he is. He's a good probably 4 feet past the hole there. He obviously got a little bit excited following Will Zalatoris' putt down the hill there. He looked very confident. I think he thought he'd made it. It just went left, and it probably just rolled on a little bit further than he would have liked.
Yeah, just needs to keep his cool here, Matt Fitzpatrick. Can't afford to drop a shot, having seen his playing partner putt for birdie, and he has. He's missed again, Fitzpatrick. He's going to 3-putt here on the par 3 11th. And that'll be a drop shot for the man from Sheffield. He'll fall to 4 under par, 2 shots off the lead. Zalatoris now is 2 shots clear of the chasing pack, and that is the first time he's hit the front, and the first time there's been clear air between the leader and the rest of the pack.
That was really interesting seeing the reaction, Zane, and we had just been talking just a few moments ago about this potentially feeling like a match play scenario, and when that putt went in for Zalatoris, he meant business, and he was, celebrating, and he looked really intent and serious about it, and you just wonder how Matt felt, after looking at that.
Yeah, I mean, did he maybe get carried away a little bit and think it was a match play scenario where because he gave that putt such a good run, had Will's putt not gone in, I don't think he would have put so much pace on it, but he kind of got caught up in the moment a bit. He run it past, and somehow he walked off that green 2 behind.
And that's the thing about the US Open, isn't it? Is that every single moment you have to almost kind of pull yourself back from, either wanting to be too aggressive. You have to constantly check yourself mentally when you're making decisions.
Yeah, that is the US Open. That is the major. That's precisely right, Sarah. It's that part of that patience of don't get too excited. Get excited enough, but put a lid on it when you have to.
How do you do that? Get excited, don't get excited. Be aggressive, don't be aggressive.
With lots of difficulty.
My mind's gone back to a penny for Tony Jacklin's thoughts on at this point, because there are echoes there, albeit that it happened much later in the championship at the Open at Muirfield, when Lee Trevino chipped in, and then out of nowhere Jacklin 3-putted and was never the same golfer again after that, as Trevino had given up on that hole and barely gave the chip any concern at all, rattled it into the cup, and that it rattled Jacklin, and Jacklin was unable to recover, and the Open Championship went to Lee Trevino. Well, as I say, that was all around the 17th at Muirfield, but a very similar echo to that, because Fitzpatrick must have been, he had the shorter putt. He's ended up 3-putting. Zalatoris has knocked it in for a birdie, and all of a sudden it's Zalatoris who's leading by 2, with Fitzpatrick back alongside Scheffler at 4 under.
Yeah, I mean, an hour ago when Zalatoris had that bad start, I thought, maybe he's just going to, he's going to go away here, as we see him tee off on the 12th cap.
Yeah, he's got to fly a kind of tangle of grasses, and that curves round towards the right-hand side. Enormous tee shot as trees down that right-hand side, big, tall, towering oak trees, and that long rough that I heard described on the television coverage as looking a bit like Boris Johnson's hair. Which I thought was quite a fair description. It kind of, the fescue goes in all
every
different directions, doesn't it? There's no kind of rhyme or reason to what lie you will find in there. Not that I've ever played a golf ball out of Boris Johnson's hair.
It's certainly very thick down there. I've walked down there, and interesting analogy. Fitzpatrick with the tee shot down the middle of the fairway, and plenty of composure about that swing. Beautiful shot. Talking about Johnson's hair there, by the way. And the ball, just before we get into any trouble, and the ball into the middle of the fairway from Fitzpatrick. Now, this is a big regroup time, isn't it, Zane? And Billy Foster has a big job to do walking down there. He's got his head down. He's not talking to his player. He knows Fitzpatrick very well. He'll know whether to say something or whether to say nothing, and that is a key quality for a caddy after what has just happened.
Yeah, I mean, as you've mentioned, Billy Foster hasn't won a major, and he's really going to have to put in the work himself here if he's going to get across the line with his man here. That was a really impressive drive by Matt Fitzpatrick there. Absolute bullet straight down the middle off the back of that massive disappointment he's had in the 11th green. There was a lot of pressure on that, because if he'd have missed that fairway, it could all come tumbling down. But well done, Matt Fitzpatrick there.
Hideki Matsuyama is on the 18th. He's played an absolute stonker of a round as the Japanese player, 5 under par. But this drive, the final drive of his championship, bounces down amongst the spectators on the right-hand side of this 18th fairway, and they cluster around it like ants over a jam spill. Can't wait to see his next shot and get as close to it as they possibly can. But Matsuyama lets one loose down the right hand side. 5 under par though for the day. He's played the round of the day so far, Zane.
Yeah, what a brilliant round that is in a US Open course. Anything in the 60s is brilliant. If he gets a par there, he's going to be around in 65, which is some score.
Interesting just seeing Matt Fitzpatrick walk on his own. He's just kind of stepped away from everybody else, hands in the pockets as he makes his way down to find the ball there, just recollecting his thoughts, gathering himself.
13th, second shot of Scotty Scheffler, high trajectory, firing this one into the middle of the green. Didn't go chasing the flag, which is located towards the right hand side of the green, and he's given himself around about 20-25 feet for birdie.
Kind of puppy dog eyes, hasn't he, Scotty Scheffler? He's got the inner corners of his eyebrows turn up to give his outer corners of his eyes a bit of a downturned, sorrowful look.
Never saw that before, and now I won't ever be able to unsee it. Interesting. Mac Gray has been in touch on social media using the hashtag BBC Golf. Love to hear your thoughts. And he's wondering whether the some of the Americans that we can hear shouting USA, USA, would that affect someone like Matt Fitzpatrick? He feels that it doesn't seem right in a major tournament, Zane. I
don't think that would bother Matt Fitzpatrick too much. I think that's almost expected coming to this sort of place. You know, it was much worse when we actually had the Ryder Cup here in 1997. But I would actually just like to see Matt Fitzpatrick I know he does have that kind of, head down and be really serious, but if he could just get his chin up a little bit, don't mind the hands in the pockets, but when the head goes down as well and around his shoulders, that's not great. Kind of reminds me of when Rory had his tumble at the Masters a few years ago. You just want to, will Billy just say to him, come on mate, shoulders back, we got this.
I think he's having a committee meeting with himself, and he's saying to himself, I've come this far, and this week is so special to me, I'm not going to let it slip now. That's my feeling.
He absolutely needs you on his bag, Ian. That's exactly what he needs. That's the chat he needs right now.
Put the mic down. Out you go.
I think he'll work it out for himself. Having heard him speak this week, having heard him speak in the build-up to it, this has been a really, really special date in his diary, and I just can't see him letting it slip. The only way I think he'll let it slip is if he tries too hard. He'll have given himself a kicking there, and I suspect that Billy will have recognised that and said, right, he'll have a chat with him. I don't need to say anything here, but there will be a point potentially where the great experience of Billy Foster has worked with so many great players, Seve Ballesteros, Darren Clarke, Lee Westwood, Thomas Bjorn down the years. Billy Foster's never caddied for a major win. This is a huge day for him as well, and we're now getting sight of Will Zalatoris's ball, and it is thick down there in that wispy grass there. It's juicy. He's not going to be able to do too much with that, I don't think, Zane.
No, he's got to keep it under the trees, so he's got a wedge in his hand to get it up and out the long rough, but he's got to be careful this ball doesn't shoot straight up, because he's got overhanging branches to deal with. So and it's also blind. He's playing over the bunker, over the long rough. He's just trying to get this one back into position, but it's by no means a straightforward pitch out on the 12th hole here.
168 yards out, wedge in hand, open face on the club. I think he's just looking for position here. Gives it a big old gouge. Grass goes flying every which way, and he's just hacked it out into the fairway, and hoping that will come up at a nice convenient yardage for him, but he's well short of the green on this 12th hole, which is 473 yards in distance.
I just wanted to say, Ian, looking at Zalatoris there, we're saying this about Fitzpatrick, well, we'll come to him first, because he takes his shots very quickly, does Matt?
He does. There's no hanging around for Matt Fitzpatrick, is there? He decides with Billy Foster exactly what he wants to do, steps up 160 yards out from the green and does just what they've discussed. Plops it right onto the front quarter or so of the green. The pin is hanging limp about 20-25 feet away from where Matt Fitzpatrick's ball has landed. He's there in 2 on the par 4 12th.
Now at the 18th, from down the right-hand side, from trodden down grass, here's the second shot of Hideki Matsuyama. He wants it to fly a little bit further to the right. It's gone to the back left corner of the green. It'll take the contours and then it will run back down the slope, but it comes to a halt too soon for his liking, way left of the flag, and it's going to be a long birdie putt for Matsuyama that would get him to 4 under par and set the clubhouse lead at that mark.
Scotty Scheffler is on the green at the 13th, the par 4. And a huge hospitality grandstand away over his shoulders, towering over his head from where the TV camera gives us the angle, sending it down the green, borrowing from left to right. It's curling too much, and it drifts by on the right-hand side of the cup. That was the birdie putt for Scheffler.
Third shot for Zalatoris then, after hagging out of the rough. Zalatoris playing the par 4 12th, downhill, bunker between him and the green, but also a lot of rough grass as well, and then rough surrounding the back of the green as well. He's 85 yards out, and the flag just 10 paces onto the green, 7 from the left-hand side. Packed hills all around this green for a natural amphitheatre, as that one is chopped into the green. It tiptoed up towards the flag and then went into reverse, and now it's running off the front of the green. Too much backspin, and that's 3 shots for Zalatoris, and he will do very well to save par from there. He's off the front edge of the green, so he's probably 34-35 feet from the hole.
Yeah, I mean, dare I say that those are kind of moments when someone wins, they get into a bit of bother and they pitch it close, but he hasn't done it there. He left himself right under the pressure as we look at Matsuyama putting for birdie on the last hole.
Yeah, that massive putt that Ian was describing a few moments ago, right across the face of the 18th green, back down the hill from the left-hand side of the green, down towards the hole which is cut on the bottom right-hand side. It's coming down now and misses. It was a big ask for Hideki Matsuyama to sink that for his birdie, which would have taken him to 4 under, within a couple of the lead, and 6 under for the day.
Back to the travails of Will Zalatoris, marching around this 12th green, having charged to 6 under par, leading the US Open by 2, but knowing that Fitzpatrick's got a birdie putt to come here, and Zalatoris from 30 odd feet away from off the front of the green is going to have to try and hold to save his par. He's got his caddy just straddling the line of the putt to try and feel in his feet how that putt might break. Zalatoris just prowling here. It's very easy to get out of your rhythm, isn't it, Zane, when the stakes get as high as this?
It is easy. Like in this moment here, worst ways, he needs to leave himself a tap in. He doesn't want to leave himself a 3-4 foot putt by getting too excited trying to save his par at this point, because it's kind of what we saw on the last hole, but he's picked his line and he knows what he's got to do.
Very upright putting stance, and he wedges the grip of the putter up against the inside of his forearm, sends it forward. This looks very good, but it turns at the end just to the low side. It's a well-judged putt, but it's a bogey. It's a drop shot for Zalatoris. There are no guarantees in this US Open, and he will tap in for a bogey 5, which means that he drops back to 5 under par after 12 holes. And here comes a birdie putt for Matt Fitzpatrick to get back into a share of the lead at 5 under. You cannot take your eyes from the action that is unfurling here at the Country Club at Brookline in Massachusetts.
The American broadcasters are going big on Will Zalatoris, aren't they? One of the interesting things about Zalatoris is that his putting can come under question at times, but I feel like his long-range putting is really, really good, and it's almost kind of the shorter ones that he struggles over.
Matt Fitzpatrick for birdie and the co-lead then on the 12th. He's seen Zalatoris drop a shot and he's not capitalised on that birdie chance, just curving away from the hole as it comes up the hill. It'll be a tap-in for Fitzpatrick to remain at 4 under par, with Zalatoris falling to 5 under, and the lead is cut to 1.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick will just take every care over this after missing a short one in that 3-putt on the previous hole, failing to save his par, and gets himself ready. Takes the flag from the hole for these really short ones and knocks it in. Otherwise he putts with the flag in the cup, and he makes a very, very steady par there, Zane, and that's what he needed. Yes, of course a birdie would have been a bogey, but I would have thought he'd have thought, well, I had a two-shot deficit there. It's now down to 1, so I'm back on track.
Yeah, definitely. Just what he needed, a no-drama par, while Will Zalatoris just got a bit out of position, and that's where he's going to make up his ground, really, by keeping putting those tee shots in the fairway, in play now, in front of Zalatoris, and put the pressure on him that way.
No drama for Scotty Scheffler, playing down the par 5 14th, giant tee shot down the centre of the fairway, and Hideki Matsuyama just tapping in for his 65, final round 65, to leave him at 3 under par for the championship, setting the new clubhouse lead. The former Masters champion 5 under for the day. 3 under is the new marker to beat.
Important for Fitzpatrick to realise as well, while he may mess up on a certain hole, the other players are also, dropping shots. So for him in that next hole and that instance, to see that, hang on, if I just consistently continue on with my game, and do my best, then I can't control anything else that's happening elsewhere, and they will also struggle.
Exactly. We're at a point of the tournament now, and especially these top 3 players, that if they par in, they probably will win. If someone does go ahead and picks up a birdie or 2, then that's amazing, but it's very, very likely, from what history tells us, if you can par in the back 9 in the US Open, you're near the lead, you're going to be lifting the trophy.
Hideki Matsuyama won't be going anywhere, having posted 3 under par as the clubhouse lead. And some massive holes coming up now for Zalatoris and for Fitzpatrick, neither of whom have won on the PGA Tour before. Scotty Scheffler looking for his 2nd major title of the year, his 5th win of the season as well. Such a commanding presence at the top of the leaderboard. And this 13th hole, a 450-yard dogleg right. They've put the tee forward a little bit, so it's measuring 438 yards today. 3 wood in hand for Fitzpatrick. 2nd shot over water. This one fading a little bit from left to right, but he bends down, picks up the tee. He knows that he has dispatched that to exactly where he wants it to be, down the right-hand side of the fairway, and he is in A1 position there off the tee. He's struck the ball beautifully with his tee shots today.
Will Zalatoris is just finishing off a mouthful of some form of snack, keep the energy levels up as they reach this 13th tee, and he has his hands wrapped firmly around the shaft of his club. We saw a close-up, didn't we, of the motif on his shirt. Is that Francis Ouimet on there, I think, walking along with his caddy from 1913? I think that could be what that is, a little kind of graphic of on the blue shirt of Will Zalatoris, and he's standing now with that 3 wood in his hand, sends it off, looping up into the sky over this blind summit that the players must drive over, and down towards the right hand side of the fairway. Enormous towering trees down there, and it's in again amongst the feet of the spectators down that right hand side. No clear sight of the ball, but Zalatoris in trouble then down the right hand side of 13.
Yeah, he looked like he was trying to hit a little draw down there, and he just didn't quite get enough on it. It went absolutely dead straight, didn't turn, and another missed fairway for Will Zalatoris.
And just to get back to a point I was going to make, Ian, when you were talking about Matt Fitzpatrick, having a chat with himself, regrouping, saying, you know, this is my time, you know, come on, I can do it. But Will Zalatoris will also feel that, you know, because he has been there or thereabouts and will have absolutely felt he should have won a major by now. You know, they're both kind of similar in a way, aren't they?
Yes, they are. They're straining for this big breakthrough. There's no doubt about it. I have to say that I think since he took the 2-shot lead, Zalatoris' swing looks an awful lot tighter, a lot less free. Would you think that is that fair to say, Zane?
Yeah, I definitely agree. Because it seems to be a shot. If he gets a bit tight, he does lose it a little bit to the right, and he doesn't quite have that freedom to release the club past his body, and you know, really hit that kind of pull fade that he hits. So yeah, you know, and this is what we're seeing. Out of position, all of a sudden he can go for it. Then all of a sudden, I'm 2 ahead. Now it's like, I better hang on now, which is a completely different mindset, and it affects the golf swing.
Fitzpatrick, meanwhile, is swinging with a lovely tempo, lovely rhythm. He's finding fairways. I think if he finds fairways and greens home, Fitzpatrick wins.
Yeah, I think especially now he's got the honour on the tee. I think how he's going to really get at Will Zalatoris is just to keep putting it down the middle of the fairway, because Matt Fitzpatrick's ball flight is so straight as well, so it starts down the middle and just covers the fairway the whole time. So he just picks up the tee and wanders back to his golf bag before the balls even start rolling. There's no big shape, there's no drama to it at all. So that's his real strength now coming in.
Well, do get in touch. You are listening to final round coverage of the US Open here on 5 Live. It's just approaching 25 minutes past 10 this Sunday night. If you are just tuning in, Ian Carter can tell us how those scores stand.
And the clubhouse lead is at 3 under par after Hideki Matsuyama knocked it round the country club in 65 blows today to move from 2 over par to 3 under par. But the lead out on the score on the course is with Will Zalatoris at 5 under par. In trouble off the tee though on the 13th. Scotty Scheffler is at 4 under par. He's playing the 14th, the par 5. And Matt Fitzpatrick is swinging nicely. He had a blip at the 11th. But he got a comfortable par at the 12th and is just 1 shot behind the leader, and he's alongside Scheffler at 4 under par. At 2 under par in the clubhouse after a round of 66, the reigning Open champion Colin Morikawa. Out on the course playing the 15th is Denny McCarthy at 2 under par. The players at 1 under par, Joel Damon, Rory McIlroy as he plays the 15th, Adam Hadwin of Canada, and Keegan Bradley of the United States, a New England native. He is at 1 under par. 4 shots behind, it's Zalatoris leading, but he's in trouble on 13.
Yes, final round coverage of the US Open here on 5 Live until the close of play. We want to hear from you as well. Get in touch, text us into 85058. Use the hashtag BBC Golf when you're tweeting us at 5 Live Sport. And also keep across the live text commentary. The guys are doing a sterling job with that on the BBC Sport website and app. And as it is at Father's Day, they have been asking for your memories, memorable moments, experiences playing golf with your dad. There has been some good ones in so far. I'm just scrolling down the list of them here because I know somebody was in touch saying I think his dad took his mum on honeymoon and they went to the Open at St Andrews. I'm not quite sure. Oh yeah, here it is. Nick from Altrincham. On Mum and Dad's wedding day on the 8th of July 1964, he took her on their honeymoon to the Open at St Andrews. So that is Nick's story about Father Day memories. Do get in touch. Keep the guys company on the website and the BBC Sport app. Keep us company as we see where this may eventually lead us, this US Open here on 5 Live tonight.
Where better than St Andrews for a honeymoon?
Indeed.
Gobsmacked. Here's Scott E. Scheffler with his second shot into the par 5 14th, trying to carry the rough that separates 2 sort of sections of fairway, and he's managed to just about get it there, and will have a wedge into the green for his third shot. Scheffler at 4 under par, 1 shot behind this man.
Will Zalatoris, who is surrounded on all sides by the crowd who've been pushed back to make way for his second shot on the 13th, finding the right-hand side where the spectators have trampled down the grass, a big tuft of it just in front of his ball, and a truncated follow-through as Zalatoris just punts that one out of the rough and across the fairway and into the rough on the left-hand side of the fairway. And he's certainly gone off the boil, Zane.
Yeah, there's a slight misjudgment there with the pitch out, playing, not getting it in the fairway. And he's just wobbling just a touch here. It's a bit of hot potato going on. No one wants to really take charge of it. Every time someone gets in the lead, they seem to want to let everybody else back into it, Ian.
There, and that is a miscue, isn't it? You don't want to compound one bad shot with a second one, and he overcooked that, and it ran through. And there's only a couple of yards of mown semi-rough, and it ran through that and just found the collar of the longer rough, as we see Rory McIlroy putting and holing at the 14th for a birdie that takes him back to 1 under par. It's going to be another major that gets away from him, I would imagine, although if he just birdies in from there
that would be good, wouldn't it?
It would, but I can't quite see that happening.
Denny McCarthy for his par on the 15th for the American. Long 15-footer goes in, and that keeps Denny McCarthy at 2 under par, so 3 off the lead. Haven't seen much of him out there over the past few hours.
Seen a bit of Scotty Scheffler, and he's in our view once again, wedge in hand with his third shot to the par 5, the 14th. One of 2 par 5s, the 8th being the other one. And he didn't quite get it to the mown stuff, so slightly awkward this. He had to really gouge it out of the rough from 117 yards. There'll be no spin on that. Lands it on the front of the green and then lets it run to the back of the green. That's where the hole is, and that is a brilliant shot from Scotty Scheffler, and he's given himself a 5-6 footer tops for birdie at 14.
Will Zalatoris then, he managed to gouge out from the spectator pathway to the left-hand side, now has to fly over the water, a wooden bridge crossing that still corridor of silvery water in front of the green on the 13th. And that one curves around on the borrow and comes up to rest 12 foot or so from the pin.
Yeah, very good shot that from Zalatoris, gouging it out of the rough to give himself a chance of saving his par. He'll go marching over that bridge. Now, I think I saw Fitzpatrick's shot earlier, and he's on the green but a good distance away from the hole. They only gave a very cursory look at it on American TV, but they're all marching up there. I don't think there are too many problems for Fitzpatrick in terms of his position, and he'll be putting for birdie very, very soon.
Denny McCarthy on the 16th, the par 3. And again, another of those island greens rising from a sea of rough. Long par 3 though, 202 yards. And that's right in the centre of the green for Denny McCarthy. Another birdie chance coming up for the American.
So here the players now having arrived at the 13th green in that final pairing. Zalatoris and Fitzpatrick with putter in hand, and he's just calling over to the other side of the green, just wanting people to move in the right direction. A lot of real estate to be covered here, Zane. They're not the biggest greens, but this is as long a putt as you could have at Brookline.
Yeah, his nerves absolutely going to be tested here. His touch needs to be absolutely bang on. Again, doesn't want to be leaving himself as 4 or 5 footers under this sort of pressure.
So over it now. This nominally for birdie, but it's from downtown. It's on its way down the slope, heading towards the hole, and heading and tracking and tracking and tracking and in and a roar from Fitzpatrick that has yielded a birdie at just the right time, out of nowhere, and Fitzpatrick moves to 6 under par.
Unbelievable putt, Zane. Scotland. That was so unlikely.
That was so unlikely, but it kind of reminds you of that chip that he made at the USPGA in that back 9. You know, that big, massive moment. As you have another look at it here, it was down the hill, all the way, left to right, and he rolled it in. And hopefully that chat that he had in that committee meeting he had with himself has paid off, and he knows exactly what to do this time around.
Look at the stands behind him. They're on their feet. They're cheering as if he was one of their own. And Matt Fitzpatrick punches the air and there's a smile on his face.
Did you see the way he just licked his lips as well at the end of it?
That was a smile. We haven't seen one of those yet.
You've got to believe now, haven't you? You've got to believe if you're Matt Fitzpatrick. I've got to tell you, I'm in the media centre here, and I kind of lost it there, didn't I, when that went in? And the whole place started applauding.
Your commentary, well done, well done.
Oh dear, I must correct it. He's 5 under par, of course, not 6 under. They'd already whipped that. So he's moved to 5 under into a share of the lead, but of course, Zalatoris with a par save here.
Yeah, and it's a tricky, twisting par save, and it's coming down the hill. Is it going to drop? Oh my goodness, it does. Zalatoris has responded. That par save from out amongst the spectators' feet across the fairway to the left-hand side, gouging out of the rough onto the green, and in it goes. And he stays at 5 under par. He's answered the pressure put on him by Matt Fitzpatrick, and they are in a share of the lead once again as they march to the 14th tee.
I mean, major championships and wins are full of big moments like this, Zane.
Yeah, big moment for both of them. They both stepped up in that moment. They've both done something that you expect from a winner down the stretch. One being the big putt for birdie from Matt Fitzpatrick, and then a steely par up and down from Will Zalatoris.
I mean, utter match play, for Zalatoris to have seen, the magic that Matt Fitzpatrick pulled off there, and to know that it was so important for him to make that putt to just keep him with him heading on to the next. I mean, this is punch for punch.
They're sparring now, aren't they, these two? But they've still got to keep their eye on Scotty Scheffler. He's the world number one. He's still there. They've got to somehow bring themselves down now, calm down, and get back to the business at hand.
Speaking of Scotty Scheffler and his head-to-toe navy, bright white golf shoes, bright white cap, this for a birdie for him on the 14th, which would take him into a tie for the lead with Zalatoris and Fitzpatrick. And it's only about 5 foot or so, but it drifts past on the right-hand side, and he's staring after it as if to say, well, why on earth did you not drop? Can't believe it. Tucks his tongue into the side of his cheek. Stays one back. Fitzpatrick has reached the 14th tee, though. That one another absolute hammer down the centre of the fairway, which doglegs round from right to left, just skipping along, flirting with that first cut of rough on the right-hand side, and the rough itself steers the ball a few inches back onto the smooth stuff. So Fitzpatrick safely onto the fairway on this long par 5 14th. Zalatoris' turn then. There's a tall oak tree just on the corner where that fairway begins to bend round to the left, and Zalatoris will look to fly that. By the way, he was set up for that one, over the corner perhaps of the hospitality stand and onto the fairway. So both of the leaders at 5 under par, Will Zalatoris and Matt Fitzpatrick, on the 14th and on the fairway.
Really interesting to see that swing from Zalatoris in particular, and that he could get back to a good swing there in that moment under pressure.
Yeah, he's had a few slightly moody swings in the last few holes, and again, Matt has put the pressure on him by stand up in front of him, hitting the fairway, and hitting a really long drive down there as well. So that was a big one for Will Zalatoris there. Didn't look like he got all of it. It was had a bit too much cut on it, but I think he'll be so happy that it's just in the fairway.
Absolutely, yeah. It's 25-11 this Sunday night. You're listening to live final round coverage of the US Open, and we have a battle at the top of the leaderboard in Brookline. We're going to bring you it all the way through, right till the end. Will it be Matt Fitzpatrick who will emerge with that trophy a little bit later? You won't want to miss a thing, so do stick with us, and also get in touch. What are you making of this championship? Where do you think it's going to go? At 5 Live Sport, hashtag BBC Golf, text in to 85058, and also have the live text commentary on the go as well while you're listening to us. There we go, that's all the notices out. I've it all done. I'm done for another bit. Yeah. Ian Carter is back with us. We're at that moment, aren't we, where we're a couple of hours in, we've all kind of settled in quite nicely, and suddenly we're all like, oh, I need a bit of a snack, I need a little water refresh. You had pizza last night, Ian. Any sign of food in the media centre tonight?
Nothing's turned up as yet. No, I just had a quick pit stop there. I had to walk the gauntlet of everybody in the press room who think that I'm now completely biased because they don't realise that Kat's commentating as well, so they think I've just completely ignored Will Zalatoris' putt on the 13th going in, and that I only get excited for the British guy. And that was one of the most
reputation.
That was one of the most embarrassing walks of my life. I've got to tell you, there are about 150 people in here, and every single one of them heard that Fitzpatrick putt go in.
What are you going to do if he wins, Ian?
Well, that commentary will be clipped up, so there'll be more than 150 people who'll be listening to that down the line, Ian, if he goes on to win.
All these people on deadlines and everything, and the noisy radio man at the back. Mr. Popular, that's me.
How do you think Matt Fitzpatrick would be received over there if he was to win, Ian?
Yeah, I think that's an interesting question, because you've got Europe against America right now at Brookline, and how the crowds react. I was lucky. I went to Fenway Park earlier in the week to watch the Red Sox, and the Bostonian crowds, they are very, very passionate, and we've heard some yells from the crowds as well, so I hope that nothing spills over there. But clearly that the American crowds, the Bostonians, are going to be pulling for Zalatoris. They know his story. They know how he came so close at Southern Hills just a month ago. He's one of their own. They're going to be supporting him, and that's something that Fitzpatrick has to take into account. And his Ryder Cup record, as I say, is duff, but his record here in match play against Americans, although he beat an Australian in the final of that amateur championship back in 2013, so many good memories there. This is just building to the most fascinating climax. Both players 5 under par, 5 holes to play, looking at each other straight in the eye, and between them they're one shot ahead of the world number 1 and Masters champion Scottie Scheffler. What a scenario. And frankly, as a competitor, you have to embrace that, don't you, Zane? You have to say, this is what I live for. I'm going to enjoy this, and I'm going to give it everything.
Yeah, there's no one shot at a time and not looking at leaderboards and just concentrating on your own game. You have to be very aware of what he's doing, and then play one shot at a time in spite of that, along with that, and taking the whole moment, because this is essentially what these players all play for. And you get to almost a weird stage of hoping that your playing partner does something good, so then you can follow him in and do something a little bit better. That's the way how you got to embrace it. You've got to imagine that your playing partner's not going to let you off. He's going to hold the putt, so I've got to be ready to go.
Well, Will Zalatoris is standing in the centre of this par 5 14th, the longest hole on the course. He's still got 312 yards to go to the green, which is elevated 40 foot above the spot where he's standing, and they have to play over a hill and onto that green. 2-tier green, very small target for them to hit, and the green is 150 yards from the bottom of the hill. That just gives you an idea of the distance that Zalatoris has yet to cover. And he's made a selection of clubs standing right in the centre of the fairway. They've got merchandise stands and food marquees down the left-hand side. That one flies over that hill, which is covered in that long, gently waving rough, and lands on the fairway, which is up on that plateau before they get to the green. Hasn't made it to the green, Zalatoris, but Matt Fitzpatrick might go for it, Ian.
Well, he's 304 yards out. I think it's asking a bit too much. He's got fairway wood in hand. He would like a similar outcome, get onto that second instalment of fairway, which he has done, and a beautifully judged shot there into this 14th. The flag is cut on the left-hand side of the green, and he's found the right side of the fairway, so a good angle to attack with his third shot into the par 5.
Tight shot off the tee for Scottie Scheffler on the 15th. That one has to wend its way between oak trees on the left, tall pine trees on the right, and Scotty Scheffler's ball hugs those oak trees and bounces down into the rough on the left-hand side of the fairway on the 15th for the Masters champion. 4 under par, 1 shot off the lead, which is shared at the moment between England's Matt Fitzpatrick and America's Will Zalatoris.
It's one of the wider fairways, that, Sarah, just to make the point that it's one of the wider fairways, that one. So that's a miss from Scotty Scheffler.
Oh, interesting. Everybody has been getting in touch. I think people are getting quite excited. They're entering into the conversation with us now in their droves. Steve, I quite like where Steve is. He's listening from Perugia in Italy, a former Boston resident. He knows the country club well. He says this is Fitz's time. He will hold his nerve and move to the next stage of his career. Andy Hart, 100% Fitzpatrick, but his pre-tournament bet on Zalatoris is making this so painful. Jack, not going with any of those two. He says Matsuyama for the win. Neither of the two leaders have ever won on the tour, let alone a major. I think the pressure will get to them. So do keep the thoughts coming in. Let us know what you're thinking. I'd quite like to be in Italy right now. I mean, Boston is a nice second. Just seeing some nice skyline shots on the TV feed over there. Have you enjoyed your week there, Ian?
Loved it, absolutely loved it. Managed to get in a couple of times at the start of the week since the championship's been underway. I've managed to stay in our hotel on a lay-by next to a freeway, which is the way of things in America, but I did manage to get in. As I say, I got to Fenway. What a place that is. A real proper old sports stadium. There were about 37,000 people in there on Wednesday night when I went there, and they beat the Oakland Raiders. That was a great spectacle to see, and I'm hoping to have a bit of an explore tomorrow and really I've never been to Boston before, and it strikes me already as one of the great cities in the United States to visit.
You were also there. You had the week as well with the Boston Celtics and Golden State Warriors. I know the Celtics didn't win. You got it. It was a good sporting week there.
Oh, yeah, I mean, and to be fair, you know, as is always the case, the TVs are full of sport in America when you're in a bar or whatever, and but there was an extra passion to it all here, obviously, with the Boston Celtics. Of course, came up short against Golden State. Steph Curry did his stuff, didn't he? And that was that. But and for them to have the US Open here, they've not had it since 1988 when Curtis Strange won the playoff against Nick Faldo. Had the Ryder Cup here infamously in 1999. And this is turning into an absolutely memorable US Open as well. And who knows what's going to happen over the closing hour and a bit of proceedings here. The players just getting themselves into position. And we really look forward to being able to see the lead protagonists. And as I say that, Will Zalatoris cap comes into our field of vision.
Yeah, just swishing his wedge 3, 4, 5 times, 95 yards, I should say, nowhere near 100 and something yards, 95 yards off the green with his third shot into the par 5 14th, way up into the sky, looking to drop this down with a couple of hops and a little bit of backspin to come up to a stop 12 feet or so from the flag. So Zalatoris is there in 3, birdie putt coming up for the American. What can Matt Fitzpatrick do in reply?
We shall find out after we see whether McIlroy can make birdie at 15. Brilliant approach in for the Northern Irishman, and he hits that putt, and then they suddenly cut away from it. So I don't know whether he got it.
Wasn't it?
He got it. He knocked it in, and he has moved to 2 under par.
Quite an extraordinary piece of TV work there, wasn't it? And also we just saw Matt Fitzpatrick about to hit his approach shot, and all of a sudden we've got some pictures of the clubhouse. So
indeed,
maybe the director's having a bit of a rest.
A little bit of a rest.
Yeah,
yes.
I was also thinking, you know, you're saying how lucky Ian is to be in Boston, how lucky our listener is to be in Perugia, but if you look out of the window, Sarah, it's approaching the longest night
of the year. Just going to lift the blind up
here in sunny Salford, and it's glorious out there. Still some golden light in the sky.
Did you see the big moon last night? I was driving home at like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was like, wow! And then I was like, no,
massive.
look at the road. So hopefully it'll be like that tonight.
I've just caught sight here of Fitzpatrick's third shot into the 14th, and he looked a bit disconsolate afterwards because it's come up short by about 25 feet, and so it's advantaged Zalatoris after those third shots into the 14th. Much shorter birdie putt coming for the American.
I'm glad you could work that one out, Ian. I just saw a brief flash of Matt Fitzpatrick.
Had to piece it together.
Yeah, had to try and... When Sarah was talking about the moon, it was all very confusing.
I promise we may well get it all together by the time we're going up the 18th. Maybe the camera directors and all that will have it all sorted. But it is approaching 10 to 11 this Sunday night. You are listening to live coverage of the final round of the US Open with myself, Sarah Mulcairns, with our golf correspondent Ian Carter out in Boston, with Catherine Downs on commentary, and with Zane Scotland, former European Tour player, now a coach as well. The three of us in Salford as we get another random look at Rory McIlroy, and then we just come to some wide fairways, a green, and we're just waiting to see where the camera is going to train in on.
It's going to find Rory McIlroy because it's looking back down the 16th over that sea of fluttering rough to find McIlroy on the tee of this par 3. The crowd all dead still. Look at them standing like statues either side of the tee box here, and that one drifting off to the right hand side. Rory McIlroy is leaning after it, trying to steer it onto the putting surface, but it slams down into the sand in front of the green. And after back-to-back birdies on the 14th and 15th, McIlroy's in the bunker on the par 3 16th when he was just hoping to get it going down the stretch.
Fitzpatrick to get to 6 under par, putting for birdie from 20 feet on the 14th. This looks okay, but doesn't quite turn from right to left in time. Finishes up dead behind the hole, but 3 feet behind the hole. Tester coming back for Fitzpatrick to remain at 5 under.
Scotty Scheffler on the par 4 15th, 220 yards or so from the green, and he was in the rough down the left-hand side, you may remember. An almighty thrash of the club, and it's bounced through the green and into the rough on the back, because the control, there's none, is there, coming out of that rough? Saying there's not much more he could do apart from just whack it as hard as he could.
Quickly, Zalatoris for his birdie at the 14th. Misses on the right edge from 9 feet, and so a mere tap in from 4 inches for his par 5, but Zalatoris and Fitzpatrick unable to take advantage of the par 5. Zalatoris with a par in the bank, he remains at 5 under, and this is a big putt coming now for Matt Fitzpatrick to remain in a share of the lead, Zane.
Yeah, that was a very big moment, that just watching that slide by, because that's what we saw on the 11th hole, which put Matt Fitzpatrick under the gun. And he's in that same position now. He's about 4, actually run on quite a bit. It's about 4 or 5 feet, but this is a big putt coming up, because he absolutely won't want to give away another shot on a time when he thought he was going to make birdie, and now he's struggling, not struggling for par, but he's got his work cut out.
Billy Foster's put the flag back into the hole. Fitzpatrick, almost unique among leading professionals, preferring to putt with the flag in the hole. Never used to be able to do that. A couple of years ago the rules changed, and he likes it. It gives him a nice feeling of security as he hits it towards that flag, and he rams it straight into the pole and into the hole, and an excellent par save in the end for Fitzpatrick after that somewhat loose and aggressive first putt. And it means that with 4 holes to play, he's in a share of the lead at 5 under par with Will Zalatoris of the United States, and they in turn are 1 ahead of Scotty Scheffler, who's in trouble at the 15th, having missed the green with his second shot. Scheffler at 4 under, clubhouse lead at 3 under, Rory McIlroy at 2 under, but in the bunker at the 16th.
Yeah, McIlroy is just marching around those bunkers, big sprawling sandy craters with lips, kind of hairy lips, moustaches, if you will, of rough hanging over into the sand, and McIlroy has just paced right into the centre of one of the larger ones in front of this par 3 16th, just settling his white golf shoes deep into the sand and opening the face of the wedge. He's got to lift it up and over the lip of the bunker, which he does, and onto the putting surface and up towards the hole, and it rolls past on the left hand side, and it's kept going, but that was very close to heading in for Rory McIlroy out of the sand. He's got a good 6-7 feet back down the hill to save his par.
Difficult chip for the third shot at the par 4 15th for Scotty Scheffler. 6 feet 3 inches tall, all in navy blue today with a white cap, white shoes, and just the white of the ball just barely visible above the cloying grass. But he's played that beautifully, coaxing it down the hill, runs on past the hole by maybe 3 feet, something like that, 3.5 feet. Needs to make that to remain at 4 under and within one shot of the co-leaders Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris.
So as we're getting close to 11 o'clock and we're coming down the final stretch with the leaders, little separating them, Ian, do we want to remind everybody what you've been talking about playoff? I mean, I kind of feel like you've been trying to reverse psychology this by mentioning it so often that it absolutely wouldn't happen.
Just a historical fact that every US Open, the 3 that have been played, most famously Francis Ouimet and his victory over Harry Vardon and Ted Ray back in 1913, that he was an amateur that won that playoff and made front page news on the New York Times and popularised golf and made it the sport that it is today, really, in terms of the popularity that followed that victory for the amateur Francis Ouimet, whose house stands over the road from where I'm sitting right now. That was the first to go to a playoff. In all, there have been 3 US Opens prior to this one, and they've all gone to playoffs, most recently in '88 when Curtis Strange beat Nick Faldo. And so history says that it would be a playoff. In the past, we've had 18-hole playoffs for the US Open, not anymore these days. It'll be completed tonight, and they'll play the 1st and the 18th, a 2-hole playoff, and then sudden death thereafter.
Okay. So everybody is alerted. You can set your alarms accordingly for tomorrow, whenever potentially that happens. But it's only
not going to be a playoff.
Approaching. There you go, Ian. Well done. It's only approaching 11 o'clock, so everybody can just settle down. Hop into bed if you want. Have the radio on. Just settle in.
Rest your eyes.
Rest your eyes, but keep listening. Keep those ears open. Some great social media coming in using the hashtag BBC Golf. We have a lovely view here from Alexander, who is listening from the back garden. Don't leave there. That looks lovely. Alexander, lovely bright light this late in the evening. He's saying, come on, Matt. Georgie Heat says, so much for an early night. The golf is heating up. Georgie's not going to bed. And then also, on the big moon that I spotted last night, Zuby says Sarah was right. Zuby knows these things. Moonrise in Kent, and has a lovely picture included of the moonrise last night. So if you look for the hashtag BBC Golf on social media, you will see that lovely moon.
It was massive, yeah, it did make me go, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And then you realise you're just driving along on your own at 1 o'clock in the morning. No one's there to listen to you.
Big moon in Boston, Ian?
Didn't notice, to be perfectly honest. I'm just upset that Adam Hadwin of Canada has faded away. He's gone back to Level Park, because I really wanted to talk about where he comes from in Canada. I was looking him up earlier. Moose Jaw in Canada.
We were talking yesterday about good names.
Scotty Scheffler to save his par at the 15th, and he does. Great up and down from the back of the 15th there for the world number 1. Keeps him firmly in touch at 4 under, 1 behind the co-leaders Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris. We should be seeing them on the 15th very shortly, I would imagine. But before that, Rory McIlroy
to save his par on the par 3 16th, having played out of the sand. It's going in, yes, snatched in by the left-hand lip of the hole, and down it goes, and McIlroy saves par after back-to-back birdies on the 14th and 15th. Can he get it going down the 17th and 18th? Post a score, put the pressure on those leaders.
Needs a birdie finish to set the clubhouse lead at 4 under. Clubhouse lead currently at 3 under as it stands, with Hideki Matsuyama round in 65 today. So Moose Jaw in Canada is just south of Saskatchewan.
Love Saskatchewan. Discovered that a few years ago at the Women's World Cup in Canada. Learned that one.
And there's a statue there of Mac the Moose.
Oh.
And it's also the most dangerous place in Canada because Al Capone was said to have been there and and used the underground rooms to plot his crimes and stuff like that. So I was really looking forward to Adam Hadwin challenging today, because I'd got all that up my sleeve and I'm going to use it anyway.
Oh, well, there you go. What was the one
Moose
yesterday?
Jaw, Canada. We've got to go there.
Moose Jaw, we do. What was the one yesterday you had, Kat?
It was Chattanooga, Tennessee,
Chattanooga.
for Hayden Buckley, who has also faded away down the leaderboard. He was up there in the mix, wasn't he, at the halfway stage? There he is, tied for 15th on 2 over par, 1 over for the day, Hayden Buckley, but he was from Chattanooga, Tennessee, a smaller town neither of us could decide how to pronounce.
Tupelo or Tupelo?
But near Chattanooga, and we just like Chattanooga. Such a good name.
Good word. Tupelo, we are getting the official confirmation from our producer. Richard Ellen has also been in touch using the hashtag BBC Golf. He has also hashtagged Huddersfield, because he is out enjoying the very late evening sun. Lovely picture from Richard, who is listening along to commentary, because we are bringing you live coverage of the final round from the US Open from Brookline, and it is England's Matthew Fitzpatrick who is in a share of the lead, potentially could walk away with a US Open title in an hour or so's time. He is in a share of the lead along with Will Zalatoris. So before we get back to them out on the course, just approaching 11 o'clock tonight here on 5 Live, let's get the latest BBC News with Stuart Clarkson.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Sarah, thank you. The head of the RMT Rail Union has warned he's prepared to press ahead with industrial action for 6 months or more, days before his members are due to take part in the biggest train strike for 3 decades. The walkout over pay and conditions will begin on Tuesday, stopping 80% of services across Britain. Swimming's world governing body FINA has voted to stop transgender athletes from competing in women's elite races if they've gone through any part of the process of male puberty. It's also going to create an open category at competitions for swimmers whose gender identity is different than their birth sex. President Macron has suffered a major political setback after his party failed to win a majority in the country's parliamentary elections. Projections show his Ensemble coalition will be 69 seats short of the number needed to control the National Assembly. And a study commissioned by the BBC shows social media is the main source of news for young people, with TikTok being the most popular platform. The poll of 2011 to 16-year-olds suggests they trust politicians less than social media influencers to tell them the truth about current affairs.
Hello, I'm Chris Warburton. Welcome to The Staircase, the real story.
She was madly in love with Michael.
It was all good, but if he wasn't the center of attention, he would just wander off.
It's the story that just never ends. As the HBO Sky Atlantic series The Staircase airs all around the world, we're going to tell you the real story behind the death of Kathleen Peterson.
How am I going to clean this up? That's all I'm thinking. How can I clean up all this blood?
The Staircase, the real story.
Listen on BBC Sounds.
Welcome back to live coverage of the final round of the US Open from Brookline in Boston, Massachusetts. It's just gone 11 o'clock here in the UK, but all the action is in Boston because Ian Carter, we have Matthew Fitzpatrick in contention and has just teed off on the 15th.
Yes, he has. Long par 4 down the hill, and he's pushed his drive into the crowd down the right-hand side, but it's into the trampled area of rough. So not too bad down there, but I think it tangled up in the crowd. Went in there on the full. He wouldn't have been able to see that because it's so sharply downhill, and it's blocked out by trees down the right-hand side. So it'll be a good long way back. That's the sound to greet the tee shot of Will Zalatoris, and he's gone right as well, and he's nestled down in some very thick rough down that right-hand side there. His ball is not visible as Marshall comes over and just drops his cap next to where the ball is to just mark its location, because otherwise he'd struggle to find it. And there is Matt Fitzpatrick, hands in pockets, just trudging his way down the 15th. He had a big smile on his face after that tee shot as well. He looks very, very relaxed at the moment. 5 under par, sharing the lead with Zalatoris, and 1 ahead of Scotty Scheffler, who's just teed off on the 16th.
It's going to be so interesting over these closing holes, Zane, and we talk about the US Open, you know, being such a challenge and being able to stay in the moment, and, you know, for Fitzpatrick, that's so important for him to be able to do now in every single shot, isn't it?
Yeah, well, he luckily had some practice about a month ago and it went against him. So he will have taken that into account, and he'll know exactly what he needs to do now. He is kind of walking on his own, as Ian said earlier. You know, he seems to have his thoughts in order, and he looks like he's got quite good control of himself.
Rory McIlroy at 2 under par, playing down the 17th, the par 4. He's 131 yards out, and he is 2 under par. Needs a really strong finish. Couple of birdies would help him to set the clubhouse lead at 4 under par if he could, and he's up at pin high, 12 feet or so, 10 feet or so from the pin for a birdie chance coming up on the 17th for McIlroy. Could it be another hot finish for him, or is it too little too late?
It's a big putt, because he knows in the back of his mind that, you know, that this is not, as you said about the US Open, it's a tough test, and he absolutely will be thinking about finishing birdie. That'll be the only thing in his mind right now.
So we see Scotty Scheffler surveying his birdie putt at the 16th, the final par 3, 200 yards up the hill, and he's found the green and taking every care over this with his caddy Ted Scott. They're having a little chat, and Scott's having a look as well, coming right down to the sharp end here of this 122nd US Open, the 3rd men's major of the year. Just the Open Championship to go, the 150th Open at St Andrews. What a week that's going to be. 5 Live will be there in force with our usual full coverage, but right now all the attention is on this US Open and this birdie putt here, Zane, for a share of the lead.
Yeah, it's a nice length where he's not expecting to make it, so he'll give it a nice roll. Got 30 feet, got a make percentage of 7%, the graphic shows us, and it's pretty quick.
It's over it now. Glance at the hole, the rock of the shoulders sends the ball on its way, and then it does take the slope and it accelerates down towards the hole, but it's turning away from the hole, and it was nicely judged, wasn't it, Zane? But a mere tap in for his par 3, and that keeps him at 4 under par with 2 holes to play. He'll mark his ball, take every care over it.
Yeah, those are the types at this point of the tournament, just to have no drama for your second putts. If you're going to miss a putt, leave it close, tap it in, move to the next. Pars are always a good score, especially on the back 9 of a US Open.
And he does tap it in, and it keeps him at 4 under par. 2 holes to go for Scotty Scheffler, the world number 1. 1 shot behind the co-leaders, Fitzpatrick and Zalatoris.
You can just feel the tension just winding up a little bit, can't you now, Zane? You know, it's all getting a little bit more serious, a little bit more nervy. And for those players, I don't understand how you can't not feel that.
Yeah, the whole thing is just getting a tiny bit more cagey. We're right into the business end now, and there's not going to be many free high towering shots and big swings now. It's all going to be get it in play off the tee and then get it on the green, then the putts. There's no like wrapping it in the back now. It's like get close. If it's going to miss, it's got to drop in. But you know, can somebody just produce that moment of brilliance which is just going to just separate them?
And interesting what you were saying about Matt Fitzpatrick and, you know, walking on his own and taking time to himself. You know, I suppose it's really important in this moment, is it, to know how you react under these circumstances and to be able to do what you need in the moment. And that will be himself and Billy, his caddy, knowing when to say something, when to pull back, when to give him space, when to give him an arm around the shoulder. Yeah,
it's been quite interesting actually. It looks like he's given Fitzy quite a lot of space. He obviously just knows that he's good with his own thoughts and he doesn't need hand holding, and in that funny way that is showing the confidence in him by actually just giving him space and letting him deal with it.
Rory McIlroy is stalking his putt. It's about 7-8 feet on the par 4 17th. This would be a birdie that would move him to 3 under par and to within a share of the score that it currently leads the US Open. He would love dearly to finish with back-to-back birdies and set the clubhouse lead, but this firstly needs to drop for McIlroy. White trousers, grey top, sends the ball towards the hole. Is it going in? It's not. It's drifted to the left, and that could well be the chances of Rory McIlroy gone begging. He needs birdie to set any chance really of setting a new target, and the birdie putt misses for McIlroy on the 17th.
Big miss that for McIlroy. Ball lying nicely, isn't it, Zane, for Matt Fitzpatrick here in the rough down the right-hand side of 15.
Yeah, by actually hitting it further offline than Will Zalatoris, he's got a much better lie, which is quite often the case, and especially in big tournaments where we've got such big crowds, that it's found the trampled down area, and he's got quite a clean lie, which means he's got options. He can shape it, he can control the spin a bit more, and coming from this angle, the pin is back left, and it's right down the back, and it's actually a really inviting shot. This, he can just try and pitch this somewhere front middle of the green and just watch it just trundle up to the back.
There's a bunker front right, which he found on the second day, and didn't get up and down from there. That was a bogey when he was playing in the company of Dustin Johnson, and he's just moving the crowd back down the right-hand side. Horseshoe of humanity there. There are a few wisecracks being bellowed out from the Bostonian crowds, but a study of concentration now. Second shot at the 15th, 225 yards out. Matt Fitzpatrick looks to have made decent contact, marches after the ball, which is flying out of the grey skies towards the green, lands on the green softly as well, and runs up towards that back left corner, and that is a wonderful shot from Matt Fitzpatrick. He's put it to within 16 feet of the cup, and he's given himself a birdie chance after a wayward drive on 15.
Yeah, there was a little sigh of relief there from him as he walked out through the crowd there. He knows he's gotten away with that tee shot, and he's really taken that advantage on, and he's got a very makeable birdie putt now.
Billy Foster just pulling a face at the camera, which is as you'd expect, following the co-leaders very closely indeed. And Will Zalatoris, well, we're having a good look at the lie that his ball has found along the right-hand side in that long, thick green rough along the right-hand side. Hasn't been trampled because it's inside the rope. So Fitzpatrick had that lovely lie after he'd moved the spectators back and given himself space to swing, whereas Zalatoris is in the thick, lush green rough down that right-hand side. So is he going to be able to control this out of the thick stuff? 210 yards towards the green at the 15th. Sends it off. It's going off to the left-hand side. The pin is cut at the back left. But no, it bounces over the green and into a bunker on the back right-hand side of the green. So Matt Fitzpatrick, hitting it way offline, has had the best results, because Will Zalatoris has got tangled up in that rough and finds himself in trouble once again on the 15th.
What happened there, Zane?
The rough is so thick that the club just gets a bit, as the club enters the ground, the grass tangles around the hosel and just turns it a tiny bit, and that's exactly what happened there. Wrapped over would be the term you'd use.
At the 17th now, Scotty Scheffler, driver in hand, short par 4 this one, 373 yards on the card. Swings away from right to left, fine tee shot from the Masters champion, splits the fairway and gives himself an ideal position to attack the flag on the penultimate hole. One shot off the lead.
I was interested to see after Matthew Fitzpatrick took his shot and he was walking away with Billy Foster, everybody chasing behind him and with the cameras, filming him and almost kind of jogging behind him. And it kind of just struck me, that's probably the first time, he will feel that all around him. And even just that, that just knowing that there are going to be people following him now and more in his space than he would be used to.
Yeah, just that kind of energy, because he's very much a character, kind of goes about his own business. As good as a player as he is, he tends to fly under the radar, but he absolutely is not under the radar here, and that is going to be a thing of the past if he can get it done today.
And he will have seen exactly those kind of scenes just a month ago, albeit that they weren't around him because he wasn't playing well enough for that to be the case, but they were around Mito Pereira at the USPGA when he was in the final pairing. So what a finishing score that might prove for Fitzpatrick, the fact that he was in that final group and he could learn from it, and from whatever he learnt from that, he's potentially putting that into play now as he shares the lead coming down the stretch at the very next major.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Will Zalatoris here who's out of position. We'd be happy that he's actually found the bunker, because he's going to know how this ball's going to come out. He's not got much of the lip's not really too much of a bother, but his feet may be a little bit above the ball, so that will just
a
make
lot
him think
above
a
the
bit.
ball, Zane. We're seeing it now.
It's a longish bunker shot, so he's got plenty of green. It's not a hard bunker shot, but just the one little piece is that feet above the ball, just trying to manage, can he get the club underneath the ball the right amount? He doesn't want to thin this one over the green.
He doesn't, and he's bending his knees at an almost 90-degree angle to get the club head down behind the ball in the sand. Picks it up out of the bunker and is rolling it now up towards the marker where Matt Fitzpatrick's ball should be. Comes up a little shorter of that, though, about 25 feet from the pin for Zalatoris. That would be his par save, wouldn't it? So a long 25-foot putt for Zalatoris if he wants to avoid dropping a shot here on the 15th.
Yeah, definitely advantage Matt Fitzpatrick there, but that was he hit that one heavy there with the feet above where the ball was. He was trying not to blade that one over, and that's kind of what happens. You just make sure, and you just bury the club a little bit too much, and it's come out way too soft.
Suddenly seeing a shot of Scotty Scheffler jogging up a fairway. No club in hand or anything like that. Looking intently on. I wonder what's going on there.
May have visited the restroom. Just as he was making his way down the 17th, he's arrived at his ball now, getting the heart rate down. And now, after a couple of practice swings, wedge in hand, just 80 yards from the flag, needs to get this close. Over it now. 17th hole. Sends it on its way. Sornoff follow through. Has he judged it well? He has. He's judged it extremely well. Lovely shot from Scheffler, and spins the ball back underneath the hole to within 4.5 feet of the cup. Great birdie chance coming for the world number one to join the party at 5 under.
Yeah, really interesting swing there. It looked like he kind of hit it heavy, just buried the club in the floor. And had a funny kind of twist of the wrist on the way through, and I was thinking it was going to come out short of the green, not almost a tap-in birdie.
Big moment then for Will Zalatoris on the 15th. This for his par. It's 26 feet from the flag, the red flag hanging limply on the top of its black and white pole. The ball rolling up towards the hole, but coming up a good half foot or so short. And it'll be a dropped shot for Zalatoris, the American, falling to 4 under par in a share of second place with Scotty Scheffler, which leaves Matt Fitzpatrick of England out on his own at the front again on 5 under par, Ian.
Justin Rose, the last English winner of the US Open in 2013, the last major winner for England and for Great Britain was Danny Willett in 2016 at the Masters. Could it be that Matt Fitzpatrick is going to join that party? His brother Alex with his mum standing, watching, taking deep breaths.
They look
if this
very
goes
nervous, don't they?
They do look nervous. But Matt Fitzpatrick,
did you hear him? This
is
could be
on
huge.
the mission.
Come on.
Did he
That's what
say
he
that?
said. That's what Alex said.
And he's absolutely right. The flag is in the hole, and this birdie putt for a 2-shot lead with 3 to play at the US Open for Matt Fitzpatrick, 27 years of age, from Sheffield, sends it on its way, tracking towards the hole, looking good, looking great, into the cup for Matt Fitzpatrick. His brother Alex roars in celebration, high fives with his mum, and as calm as you like, Matt Fitzpatrick strides up, takes the ball from the hole, and takes a 2-shot lead with 3 to play at the US Open at Brookline.
How about that, Zane? How about that? Nerves of steel forged in Sheffield.
I mean, what a birdie that is. That putt was absolutely dead centre, perfect pace.
And it was always on the way. It was, it was never veering off that line, was it? Yeah! And you're just hearing the reaction from Alex and Matt's mum. Let's go! Let's go, says Alex, and then pulls his mum along. They're off to the next hole. He can't quite believe it. He had said beforehand it was going to be huge if he did it. And then when you were going to watch it, I could see you squinting and squeezing your eyes closed. You almost didn't want to watch it.
I was almost living it with him. You just know there's certain moments, and that was one of them. And didn't he step up? I mean, you couldn't have asked for any better there. Didn't go in at a funny pace. It didn't go in too hard. It went in perfect pace in the middle of the hole. And he just had a little fist pump and just has wandered to the next tee. I'm sure on the inside, he's not feeling very calm at all, but he did look very calm on the outside.
Yeah, the contrast between Matt Fitzpatrick making his way to the 16th tee and his mum and Alex making their way to the 16th tee was remarkable. They were bounding along like excited children. Fitzpatrick head down, still on the march.
And that is the
Still
opposite
head
in,
the
in
game.
their personalities. Alex is really chatty and really outgoing, and Matt's obviously a lot more down. It's funny how they're so opposite.
So to the 16th, the uphill par 3, you stand on that tee, you can barely decipher that there's a green there, yawning bunkers at the front. You can just make out the top of the flag. There's wispy beige grass swaying in the gentle breeze. And here he is now, Matt Fitzpatrick, looking to find the putting surface with a 2-shot lead and 3 holes to play. 6-iron in hand, 209-yard par 3, and the tee shot is on its way, climbing into the grey skies and then descending down to the putting surface, clearing the bunker and finding the green. Probably 25, 30 feet from the cut, but mission accomplished. Find the putting surface, par your way in here, and you could well be a major champion, Matt Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, that was a bit of an awkward pin position for him, that one, back right. He's been hitting that tiny, tight draw, so I think being on the surface there, and especially the way he's been putting, he might even fancy that one.
Yeah, he's been draining them from that distance, hasn't he? And Scotty Scheffler for his birdie up ahead on the 17th. This would take him to 5 under par 1 behind Matt Fitzpatrick if it goes in, and it does. So Scotty Scheffler, the world #1, the Masters champion, is just 1 shot behind England's Matt Fitzpatrick as he heads for his final hole.
Zalatoris needs to come back from the drop shot at 15, tee shot at 16, 2 shots behind Fitzpatrick. Excellent tee shot from the American. Oh, that is brilliant. It is rolling up towards the hole side. Superb, aggressive play, taking on the pin in the back right corner and being rewarded with a birdie putt from inside 5 feet. What a shot from Will Zalatoris.
That was absolutely first class, that shot. That pin position did actually suit Will Zalatoris, and he's pulled that off to nearly perfection there. What an answer, what a bounce back that is after what's gone on before.
Rory McIlroy is playing down the right-hand side of the 18th. 2 under par, 4 shots off the lead is Rory McIlroy. His drive has found the rough down the left-hand side, flying up into the grey Boston sky as the day nears its end, and McIlroy slaps that one down to a stop on the putting surface 10 feet from the flag. Glorious bit of magic from McIlroy, but he's left it too late.
A birdie at the last for Adam Hadwin would give him a tie of the clubhouse lead with Hideki Matsuyama. He's currently at 2 under the Canadian, and he misses the fairway down the right-hand side on that last hole. The ball settling down, nestling down into the thick stuff, missing the shorter stuff by a matter of inches.
So Scotty Scheffler on the 18th hole, the hole that is aptly named home. Dogleg round to the left, deep bunkers and rough surround the green up ahead, which is about 450 yards down the fairway, and Scheffler standing tall in his head-to-toe navy, 1 shot off the lead on the final tee of this championship for the American. He's played this hole in level par for his last 3 visits here, 3 wood in hand and a enormous white tented stand up on the horizon. It's the line that he's aiming for, straight down the middle, straight for that marquee up ahead and into the middle of the fairway for Scheffler. 5 under par, 1 off the lead. Fitzpatrick is playing the 16th. Scheffler is going down the 18th. He would set the new clubhouse lead if he can stick on his current mark of 5 under par.
Fitzpatrick arriving at the 16th green, surveying what will be a lengthy putt. And this is all about recovering your composure after the excitement of the previous hole, Zane. Maintaining that touch, making sure that you don't give anything back to the opposition.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Ian. It's now about cut yourself off, forget what's happened before, forget what's happened ahead. This is the moment in hand, and it's all about getting the pace right on this one. He's got to come up the hill and then watch it just dribble down the last 8 or 10 feet, which is going to be quite a tricky putt, but he's walking around the green quite slowly, so he's obviously controlling his breathing, and he's pretty much in control. The pin's in, as it always is. He's got his line, but as I just kind of mentioned, it's all about getting the pace right.
Just seen a totaliser of how many putts he's made on the back nine in terms of the footage. And he's made 77 feet of putts on this back nine, especially that putt on the 13th all the way across the green. Well, this is on its way now for birdie at the 17th, and it looks like it's been judged very well, extremely well. Oh, that's wonderful from Matt Fitzpatrick. It comes up just a couple of inches short, but talk about a stress-free par. He's found the green, and he's putted up to the hole side, and he can take no time at all, tapping in, putting a par 3 onto his scorecard, and remaining at 6 under par, leading the US Open by 1 from the world number 1, Scottie Scheffler, who's up ahead on the 18th.
Rory McIlroy's up on the 18th green, so Scottie Scheffler marching after his drive a little bit behind McIlroy, who's putting for a closing birdie, but it refuses to fall for McIlroy, and that's the story of McIlroy's day. He taps in with the back edge of his putter, removes his cap, shakes hands with his playing partner, and it's a final round of 69 for Rory McIlroy. 1 under par today, finishes the championship on 2 under par. That's 1 behind the clubhouse leader Hideki Matsuyama, but Matt Fitzpatrick out on the course with the outright lead at 6 under par. Is he going to be a home champion for England?
Zalatoris for birdie, makes it at the 16th, rewarded for that sensational daring tee shot, and he moves back to within a shot of the lead. This ain't over yet, folks. 2 holes to go. Just a 1-shot lead for Fitzpatrick, 6 under par. Scheffler and Zalatoris at 5 under. It's between these 3. The clubhouse lead remains 3 under, and Hideki Matsuyama. But he can start firing up the jet, you would think, because I think it's either Fitzpatrick, Scheffler or Zalatoris who will be lifting the US Open trophy here at Brookline.
So Scottie Scheffler has seen Rory McIlroy clear the 18th, head off to the scorer's tent to sign for that closing round of 69, and Scheffler is eyeing up his approach into the par 4 18th. The white cap is pulled down low over the brow, those mournful looking eyes, and you can almost see the brain whirring away behind them as he works through his pre-shot routine. 2, 3 swishes of the iron for practice. Hardly a breath of wind out there at the moment. The trees towering over those grandstands behind the green. And looking down the 18th, that dog legs round from right to left. Scottie Scheffler is standing almost plumb in the centre of that fairway. He's got to clear 178 yards, comprising of a mixture of bunkers and then the fairway that twists round towards that green, lifted up above the fairway and just in front of that clubhouse, straight up into the air. It's straight as a die, and it's right down into the centre of the green, 25 foot or so from the pin. Safely done for Scheffler. Could have been a bit more aggressive with that one, perhaps, if he's wanting to push for the title.
Will Zalatoris has birdied the 17th twice this week. What he'd give for another one now. Long iron, playing for position down the fairway on the short par 4, and that's exactly what he's done. Ball coming to rest close to a sprinkler head in the middle of that fairway. Excellent tee shot from the man who is sharing second place with Scheffler at 5 under par, but the leader is this man.
Yep, 2 holes to go for Matt Fitzpatrick. He has a lead of just 1 shot as he hits an iron off the tee on the 17th, and that one, just like Will Zalatoris, safely onto the fairway. Playing it safe here, Zane. He's scored well on this hole in his previous visits, but he's just playing safely now because he knows he's just got to get the job done.
Yeah, it was a very smart play there, hitting iron. He's hit a 3-wood off there yesterday. We've seen most of the other players hitting woods, but both those that final group hitting irons off the tee, getting themselves in the fairway, because they both know their iron play is much better from the tight grass, and they can control the spin and control the distance coming into the hole.
I feel like we need to remind everybody to just breathe a little bit. At one stage it was just getting so tense and nervy there. and we're going to have an amazing closing couple of holes. You do not want to go anywhere. You are listening to final round coverage of the US Open here on 5 Live until the close of play. And what a story we have for England's Matthew Fitzpatrick, leading by 1 shot at the moment. I mean, he keeps consistently proving, Zane, doesn't it, that he's able to take the moments, he's able to tough it out, and he's able to stay within it and not let it, run away from him.
Yeah, he's been doing a fantastic job of controlling his emotions and controlling his game. But Will Zalatoris and Scottie Scheffler not making it easy for him. They're not letting him just run away with this one. And if he slips up one tiny little bit, he's got 2 absolute world-class players ready to pounce. And they're not going to let him do this easily. I think one of them is going to make a birdie in these last 2 holes, and he might have to step up and go 1 extra. We don't want that playoff, do we, Ian?
Not really, no. But,
do you think 6 under is the winning score? Do you think that's where it's going to be?
I think yes. I mean, that Scheffler has got a putt on the 72nd green to get himself to 6 under. Fitzpatrick's in an ideal position here on 17, and it's accessible. It's not going to be a long second shot in. He's middle of the fairway. I think he'll be thinking birdie. He's just given a thumbs up there. I think they're just working out who it is to hit first, and he's very studiously looking at his yardage book, very decisively pulling the club from the bag. Little word with Billy Foster, his caddy, and there's just going to be a little free drop for Zalatoris in the middle of the fairway because, as I was saying, his ball coming up very close to a sprinkler head, and that's what the thumbs up was. I'm just taking a free drop here, just clearing it with his playing partner. But it'll be Fitzpatrick to play first, and he's over the ball, 140 yards out, sends it on its way. Penultimate hole of the US Open, leading by 1. Fitzpatrick sends his second shot into the heart of the green, looks for it to spin back towards the hole. It does. It tiptoes down the slope. It's an excellent approach shot from Matt Fitzpatrick, and he's put it to within 10, 11, maybe 12 feet from the cup, and he's given himself a birdie chance, a birdie that would surely give him his first major title.
Yeah, that was a really good, strong shot over the pin there. I was interested to see that because when he's been under pressure before, he's get hit shots which go pretty straight, but he's missed clubbed, and he would hit it long, 30, 40 feet past the pin under the gun. But he's obviously got into his notes from last summer out and taken some what's the word I'm looking for? Taken some heat from that and played an absolutely lovely shot into the 17th there.
Learnings. That's a big word in American golf, isn't it? Take your learnings from your previous shots.
Well, I wonder what learnings Will Zalatoris has taken from his previous visits to the 17th and 18th, because he's played them 2 over par this week compared to Matt Fitzpatrick at even par over the last 2 holes of the country club in the previous 3 visits. But Fitzpatrick safely on the green. What can Zalatoris do in response? 109 yards away. He is just a gentle half swing, and he squints after that ball as it flies high into the air. It's gone right over the flag to the back of the green, catches the downslope, and it's rolling fast down back towards the hole. Can it curl round enough? No, it hasn't. It's trundling on to the left and gone down below the level of the hole. But not bad. Not a bad spot to be, Zane.
Yeah, up the hill, right to left, quite a comfortable putt. As is this one. I mean, I say comfortable. It's down the stretch of a US Open, but Scottie Scheffler's got about 20-25 foot putt on the last in. It's downhill, left to right. It's probably a type of putt you would like from this distance. He hasn't got to worry about getting the ball to the hole.
There's not much movement in it. I saw Max Homa have this putt earlier in the day, and he holed it. It's around about 20 feet, and this might be to win the US Open. You don't know. The Masters champion, Scottie Scheffler. As it stands, it's a putt for the share of the lead to move him to 6 under par. He's over it now. Very tall, upright stance, sends it on its way. Scheffler towards the hole, turning from left to right, not quite doing enough. and it misses on the left-hand side, but that is the new clubhouse lead, and it will go to the world number one. A valiant effort from him over the 4 days. And just mark the ball and pop it in his pocket and just move to the side, and we'll wait and make sure he makes no mistake. And that would be a round of 68 for Scotty Scheffler, but the look on his face there, that showed he knew he had to make that putt, or he certainly felt that. He's going to finish at 5 under par.
Zane, which of these putts from Zalatoris and Fitzpatrick would you prefer?
Well, normally people would go for the uphill putt, because you think you have more of a run at it, but I think sometimes in these situations you quite like the downhill ones like Matt Fitzpatrick has, because you haven't got to worry too much about the pace, you haven't got to worry about guessing it there. You haven't got to hit the ball too much, because when the hit comes into the stroke, because sometimes when you get a little bit of deviation and get the push or pull, whereas he can just focus on the line, get the ball moving and watch it trickle down. But they're relatively equidistant. I would prefer to have the first
to go
putt.
first?
Yeah,
I was going to...
Get first in wins a lot of the time, and you really put that pressure on.
Well, it's Zalatoris to go first. He is minorly further away from the hole than Matt Fitzpatrick. So this up the hill towards the hole by about, 15 feet. That long putter resting against his forearm, and down it comes and towards the hole, but it just curves away, and Zalatoris, well, it looks like he's taken a punch to the stomach. He slumps over, hands on his knees. He can't believe that's the birdie chance gone begging. Taps it in for the pun. Actually, it jangled somewhat against the back lip of the hole. Nervy moment for Zalatoris, and that is the chance missed for the birdie on the 17th.
At the 18th, Scotty Scheffler, the formality of tapping in for his round of 67 to finish at 5 under par. That's the clubhouse lead, but Fitzpatrick at 6 under par is the leader on the course, and he could go to 7 under here. The flag back in the hole. Delicate putt down the slope, borrowing from right to left, on its way for birdie at the 17th. It runs towards the hole. It runs out of steam just there, and he chats away to Billy Foster and says, I just daren't go any harder than that. And he's laughing. He's actually laughing at the moment. Just marks the ball. Billy takes the flag from the hole, and he's chatting as he taps it in. Is Matt Fitzpatrick. He looks so comfortable. He could be out for a monthly medal, and he's just smiling and shaking his head. He's got a par, and he's going to the final hole of the US Open with a 1-shot lead. What a moment this is, obviously for Matt Fitzpatrick, but also for Billy, one of the most experienced caddies out there. He's worked with the greats, with Seve Ballesteros, with Darren Clarke, with Thomas Bjorn, with Lee Westwood. He's had so many near misses. He was with Thomas Bjorn when he had the Open in the palm of his hand at Royal St George's in 2003, and then it all came to grief on the 16th hole. 1 hole away from being a major winning caddy, and 1 hole away, obviously, for Matt Fitzpatrick, and a first prize of $3.15 million. Not that a cent of that will matter to him in the slightest. It's all about the glory of the US Open trophy, and he's 1 hole away from it with that 1-shot lead at 6 under par.
Yeah, and just watching Matt Fitzpatrick and Billy kind of laughing coming off that green there, do you reckon that there was a slight moment there where Billy just said to him, whatever you do, don't wrap this 1 miles past?
Yeah, I think so. And I would imagine it would have been said somewhat more bluntly than you've just done it. But and again, that to me is sensational caddying. The roars are coming from the 18th green. We've just seen an approach shot from Jon Rahm, the defending champion, and packed grandstands away to the left. They're standing probably 20 deep behind the green in front of one of the buildings of the clubhouse, and the real cheers are for Keegan Bradley, the local here from just a couple of hours down the road in Vermont, a New Englander, and they love their locals, don't they? And so a real cacophony of noise up by the green, but silent on the tee.
Silent on the tee, where the final group are now preparing to play. Will Zalatoris to tee off first on this final hole of this 122nd US Open at the Country Club at Brookline, flying down the left-hand side and catching the very corner of the fairway where it begins to curve round to the left and meander up the hill towards that clubhouse, that famous clubhouse, the oldest country club in the US. And Matt Fitzpatrick now has just one final tee shot to negotiate, Ian.
Yes, and he's bogeyed this hole twice, including yesterday. 3 wood in hand today. How's your heart rate, Matt Fitzpatrick? Final tee shot. Sends it on its way, turning from right to left. The shape of this hole. He bends down, picks up the tee. The ball is swinging into the bunker, down the left-hand side. Trouble off the tee for Fitzpatrick. More drama here. It's an awkward stance. There is a tongue of grass there, a face right in front of the ball, and that is the bunker from which Jon Rahm double bogeyed yesterday. And there are going to be tense moments here as they make their way up the 18th. Your thoughts, Zane Scotland?
Really tense moments. I'm actually really surprised he didn't reach for the driver there. He's been spectacular with the driver all day, and he's just watched Torres hit a brilliant tee shot down there, and he's pulled the 3-wood. I was quite surprised there, and he's pulled it left. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to get to the green. It looks like that tongue of rough means he's going to have to wedge it out. We'll find out in a second. And maybe make that decision for him, which Jon Rahm didn't have that kind of pleasure yesterday. So, yeah, I was quite surprised to see him pull out the 3-wood there, with the driver being the best club in his bag.
So if you've just joined us on 5 Live, a reminder, Britain's Matt Fitzpatrick, the 27-year-old from Sheffield, has driven into a bunker down the left side of the 18th, the final hole, leading the US Open by 1 shot at 6 under par. 2 players behind him, Scotty Scheffler in the clubhouse at 5 under, and Will Zalatoris, who has found the fairway off the tee at the 18th at 5 under par as well. Big cheers, big roars coming from the 18th as Keegan Bradley finishes off with a par. He's thoroughly enjoyed his US Open in New England. And the defending champion Jon Rahm at 1 over par, looking to finish off with a par here, Kat.
He is coming up the hill from the slope of this 18th green, and it's just about 5-6 foot or so for Jon Rahm. 1 over par at the moment for the championship, the defending champion, who started the day, didn't he, just a couple off the lead. It's been 4 over par day for the defending champion, but he slides that one in absolutely no problem at all. And Keegan Bradley takes off his cap, marches over to congratulate Jon Rahm. His reign as the US Open champion is over. 74 final round for the Spaniard, and he finishes at 1 over par for the tournament.
Just as a weary golf watcher over all the years, and knowing that we were sitting in this room 4 weeks ago and we saw Mito Pereira on the 18th with that lead, I couldn't help feeling it and remembering it, because you have all this scar tissue, even just as people who watch the game. The players have scar tissue, and it is not over until it's over. And it just goes to show, doesn't it, Zane, the pressure and the decisions you make when you're under pressure.
Yeah, amazing, really. Matt Fitzpatrick, he's barely missed a tee shot all day, and then just when he needed it most, it's deserted him, and now he's got a completely different task ahead of him. He's got to think about the lip in front of him, the lie that he's got. Can he get to the green? If he's not going to go for the green, does he try to get to the front bunker, or does he leave himself a number which he likes? But this will be a moment when Billy really...
He's a long way back, isn't he, Zane? It's not the bunker that Jon Rahm was in yesterday. It's the one before that, and there's an island of grass in the middle of it, and that grass is in his way. And I just judging now, he's having a conversation with Billy Foster. He's just trying to work out which direction to come out of here, because he's got to go right. His view is obscured by trees. And they're just working out the line here, aren't they, Zane?
Yeah, it looks like the lip is slightly to the right of his ball, so it looks like he can aim down the left and try and cut it back.
Billy Foster's given him the line. He's choking down on the wedge, so a lot of grip above his hands. He's 159 yards out here.
I think he can reach here, Ian.
I think he can. And he's going for it. Giant bunker in front of the green. Doesn't want to be long. Smashes it out of the bunker. Watches and waits. Leading by 1. Finds the green. What a shot from Matt Fitzpatrick. From the bunker into the heart of the green. And it looks very much as though he'll have 2 putts for the US Open, depending on what Zalatoris does. But cometh the hour. What a moment that was. And as Kat said, forged in Sheffield steel, the nerve held, and a brilliant bunker shot to find the heart of the green. He's got a birdie chance of, 15 feet? That was sensational.
What a shot that was, to get that precision at that moment in time and hit that shot. Probably one of the best shots we've actually seen into the 18th green, and from probably the toughest position that we've had. And now, Will Zalatoris.
That was absolute nails to do that in that moment.
That's the mark of a champion, isn't it? Will Zalatoris, 129 yards from the green, but in the centre of the fairway. No such drama for Zalatoris, and the crowd like this one. It flies over the pin, slams on the brakes, puts itself into reverse, and just trickles a few feet closer to the pin inside the ball of Matt Fitzpatrick, about 10 foot or so from the pin. So birdie putts coming up for both players, and this could be absolutely vital. It's coming down to the last couple of shots on the very last hole. It's exactly how we wanted it to be decided.
You cannot go anywhere. I know it's 20 to midnight, but you do not want to stop listening. The little smirk on Will Zalatoris' face there as well after that.
And look on Matt Fitzpatrick's face as well.
Big smile from him, and they looked over at each other as they're walking towards that green on the 18th hole. This is a heavyweight battle that we have enjoyed. We have endured at times, but it is just reaching a thrilling climax.
Fantastic scenes here at the Country Club at Brookline as both players emerge up onto the putting surface. A vast grandstand down the left-hand side. It's set back quite a way from the putting surface, but those Bostonian fans making themselves heard. They're no doubt rooting for the American Zalatoris. He has to birdie if he is to catch Fitzpatrick at 6 under par. Fitzpatrick will putt first, probably from around about 18, 19 feet. And Zalatoris, after his excellent approach, has probably got 13, 14, 15 feet for his birdie. And it's all coming down to the 18th green. And there are thousands upon thousands of people. What a scene this is. And given all that's going on in the game of golf right now, this is proper golf. This is what it's all about.
It just shows you, just money absolutely cannot buy this sort of moment. This is what these guys are practiced for. The moment they both dreamt of, and the golf they play coming down the stretch has been absolutely brilliant. And even to this point where Will Zalatoris has hit it just inside where Matt Fitzpatrick is. If he hit it outside and rolled it down, maybe different, but he's going to know his fate. And also Matt Fitzpatrick also knows that he has this putt to win the US Open.
Yeah, he's got a putt to win it, potentially 2 putts to win it. What do you do in this circumstance? It's a slippery one. It's a little bit downhill. What's the thought process? Do you go out? Do you seek to hole it, or do you make sure that you don't 3-putt?
Very much you want to be making it because he wants to keep the control in his own hands, but he wants to get this ball to stop on the edge and die in Tiger Woods style.
Well, this for birdie, this to win the US Open from 18 feet for Matt Fitzpatrick. The ball on its way, turning towards the hole, but it's not going to drop. But he did judge it pace-wise perfectly, and he has set the target at 6 under par. He's set the challenge to Will Zalatoris to hole his birdie putt to force a possible playoff. We know the playoff history at Brookline, but Fitzpatrick will waste no time. He taps it in. He has completed his 72 holes in 6 under par, and that might be enough. It could be enough to yield the US Open a round of 68 and a brilliant performance from the Englishman. Now we wait and we wonder.
Well, he's going to... Will Zalatoris has watched that ball roll down there. He knows the line. I mean, him and his caddy are going through their normal routine, but he's just watched that ball, how it died near the hole. So this is just all about the execution.
What do you reckon, 12 feet, Zane?
Yeah, 12 feet, probably about a cup of break on it, max.
This to force a playoff. Zalatoris on its way, sends it towards the hole and misses on the left-hand side. And his heartbreak means utter joy for Matt Fitzpatrick, the man who won the US Amateur here in 2013, is now the US Open champion at Brookline. And his caddy, Billy Foster, has already dissolved into fits of tears. And it's fits of joy for Matt Fitzpatrick. They hug each other. A huge smile on the Englishman's face. He's won a major, his first win as a pro in America, and it's a big one. He's won the US Open in brilliant style. Handshakes with Will Zalatoris and a big, big hug with his brother, his mother as well. Susan is there. Oh, what scenes on the 18th. And Matt Fitzpatrick has won the US Open.
Brookline is a home from home for Matt Fitzpatrick. To do it 9 years ago at the US Amateur, to come back, to talk so positively and to win his first major at the course that he says began it all for him, Zain. The story is a fairy tale, and as you look at his father, his mother embracing him on the 18th, I cannot help but feel this a giant lump in my throat. That is a fairy tale of golf right there.
Yeah, just seeing the emotions come out, that's what it's absolutely all about. And as you say, like his mate coming in there saying, what a boy, to come in, and it's almost like a film, you know, that we're watching win the US Amateur and talk about how much it means to him to come back to this venue and do what he did before and stay with the family that he stayed with when he was 18 years old, and then to get across the line today in the US Open in amazing style, to finish like that. And as you can see, he's super well liked. He's got so many family and friends around him. He doesn't know where he is right now.
He doesn't know what is going on. Those hugs are just coming in from left, right and centre. The smile will not be wiped off his face. A big hug from Rory McIlroy. Wonderful to see his brother following him along the way. He's also taking some hugs in as security leads Matt Fitzpatrick up towards the scoring hut. The cap goes back on his head. He's going to try and somehow recollect his thoughts, but I'm not sure those thoughts are going to be collected for quite some time. Amazing. Just I said the word nails because he is hard as nails, and he proved it. He had pinpointed this course, this championship, this as his moment. He has worked hard on the parts of his game that he had got criticism for in the past. He wasn't putting, enough distance to the ball, and he's done it. And he said he'd come here and do it, and he's done it.
Amazing. I mean, this has all been planned out. There's been no stone left unturned, and all the hard work that he's put in has come to make a dream absolutely come true.
Just the looks of shock and surprise from his family around him who are watching him as we see the replays played on TV, and his brother Alex, a replay lifting Matt high into the air. A big bear hug from his brother, a golfer himself. No doubt we'll be seeing him on the course soon, but just such love between them all. And as you said, Kat, it's hard not to feel emotional when you get a story like this, because it has everything to draw you in. And we're here broadcasting throughout the UK, and to have Matt Fitzpatrick from Sheffield top of the leaderboard, first US Open winner from England since Justin Rose back in 2013, a big moment.
Absolutely huge moment. I was enjoying watching Billy Foster with he wouldn't watch that putt from Will Zalatoris, and it fell to Matt Fitzpatrick to whisper in his ear, it's missed. We've won it, we've done it, having come so close at the USPGA a month ago, and for Billy Foster having come so close countless times before over what's been an incredible career for him. But it's Matt Fitzpatrick who's got him over the line, Matt Fitzpatrick who's made him a major winning caddy, and I can't quite believe it looking at that leaderboard that we've got an Englishman at the top, 27-year-old Matt Fitzpatrick, he's been marked out, hasn't he, as one to watch, major after major, time after time. And just thinking back to that Ryder Cup, and he had such a torrid time, and that horrible look on his face as he slumped round and he just couldn't get himself going. And just how quickly things can turn around for you in golf. How you just need to find that magical something or other, and all of a sudden you can write fairy tales like this. Unbelievable. Matt Fitzpatrick, an English major champion at the age of 27.
Ian,
Fantastic.
how impressive is it, Ian?
Well, look, he's left the top 3 players in the world in his wake to win his first major. That's how impressive it is. He's had consecutive rounds of 68 over the weekend. He opened up with a 68. He did that from the wrong half of the draw. He had the harder half of the draw. By 2 shots, it was harder. So this is such a thoroughly deserved victory, and he has shown himself to be a player of immense talent, but also immense fortitude. And this is an incredible win. That putt across the green on the 13th, that sort of told us that it was almost written in the stars, didn't it? But the composure thereafter, and remember, after making such a mess of the 11th to fall 2 shots behind, the way that he responded thereafter is quite stunning, really, and just shows a level of competitive fortitude and strength that marks out the very best. And he's 27 years of age. He's now a major winner. That's his 8th professional win, his first in America. He hadn't won on the PGA Tour, but he'd had 6 top 10s this year. He's knocked on the door louder and louder and louder in the final group at the PGA Championship. He wasn't ready for it, but he learnt from it, and within a month, my God, he was ready for it, and he showed that today. Just brilliant. You think about the bunker shot there on the 18th, taking it on, executing it in the way that he did. Just fantastic. Really brilliant.
The love and the joy and the support is pouring in right across social media. Fans, golfers, everybody rushing to congratulate Matthew Fitzpatrick. Zane, you know him as a person. What will this mean to him?
I think this will be a massive validation of all the work and lifestyle that he's put into getting to this point. You know, the build-up from so many different facets, from knowing that this is a place that he loves and he wants to come here, and he knows the course, and he's kind of earmarked it in his own head, let alone telling anybody else about that, which he did commit to. And then also to take on the disappointment of last month at the USPGA and then build upon what he did there, and then to turn up this week and actually put it into action and deliver will be the most satisfying feeling. And and the confidence he'll take from this, he could really, really press on. You know, he had the disappointments at the Ryder Cup. It'll be interesting now when he sets up in the Ryder Cup as a major champion. He'll be a very different character to take on there than he has been in 2 times in the past. And also, what an example to set for his brother. His brother's just about to turn pro. And he's gone, this is how you do it, bro. This is, you got to follow me now. So he'll have that one over in a little while.
Yeah, there's so much lovely reaction on social media. Peter, what a man, what a performance. An Englishman winning his first major, you love to see it. Jack Matthew Fitzpatrick, US Open champion, a very nice ring to it. James, nerves of steel from the bunker, well-deserved win. And he is, of course, Fitzpatrick, the first player ever from outside the US to win both the US Open and the US Amateur in his career. I also saw Tyrrell Hatton praising that shot out of the bunker, and I think that was kind of, that 18th probably encapsulated everything for the last 4 days, Zane, for Fitzpatrick, that when things went a little bit awry, he was able to save it, and it was just that moment of magic when suddenly, the blood almost drained from us watching, that tee shot and where it had landed, and then to be able to pull off that.
Yeah, just the presence of mind to have the conversation with Billy about how he's going to cut that around, hit his fade from the bunker around that bit of the lip, to pitch it over the pin to make sure he cleared that front trap, and then with the putt to roll it down close, not get too excited, and then to watch Zalatoris' ball just slide by, and he hit a really good putt.
You just crushed our national championship. Well done.
The voice of Mike Wan as we get ready, Ian, for the trophy presentation.
Yeah, he is the Chief Executive of the United States Golf Association.
3,700 volunteers with another 1,000 on the waiting list. You guys make golf the greatest sport in the world.
He loves the microphone, this fella.
When this championship began in 1895, there was 11 competitors from 3 countries, none of them from the United States. This year, 9,300 competitors from all 50 states, 80 different countries, ages 13 to 79, just to get to the country club. I'm pretty sure Francis Ouimet is smiling today for what he did for American golf.
This presentation taking place just next to the 18th green on the fairway.
Date back over 100 years. But today, right now, we're going to start a new one. We've never done this before in 127 years, but today we're going to give the E.J. Marshall platter. And that's going to go to an incredible partner in agronomy and course setup. In 127 years, we've never given the Marshall platter, but today we're giving it to the Country Club's Director of Grounds, Dave Johnson. There's 89 names on that trophy. We're about to add number 90, Matthew. And to do the honors, I want to introduce the president of the United States Golf Association, Stu Francis.
So Stuart Francis comes to the lectern. Silver-haired gentleman.
Thank you, Mike. This year's U.S. Open featured 15 amateurs. And with a score of 288, the gold medal for low amateur goes to Travis Vick.
Finished in a share of 43rd place, Travis Vick, with a closing round of 73 today. And he gets the medal put around his neck and handshakes all round.
It's the champion of the 122nd United States Open. With a score of 274, the Jack Nicklaus gold medal for the winner of the 122nd U.S. Open goes to Matt Fitzpatrick of England.
And he offers a wave with his right hand, takes the cap from his head. Mike Whan comes forward and pops that medal, the Jack Nicklaus medal, around his neck, and there's a hug of congratulation. And that's 18-inch high trophy sitting on a 6-inch
to present the historic U.S. Open trophy to our champion, Matt.
Sits on that table and then is then handed by Stu Francis to the champion, England's Matt Fitzpatrick, who lifts that silver trophy aloft in utter jubilation. A huge smile across his face. And he has done it, and he's about to be interviewed by Mike Tirico.
Major champion. How does that sound to you?
Yeah, no words. It's what you grow up dreaming of. It's something I've worked so hard for such a long time, and there was a big monkey on my back trying to win over here, and all they ever talked about was that. And to do it as a major for my first win, there's nothing better.
All right, two things about the round. One, the terrific greens in regulation. You hit 17 greens. That's one of the great ball striking Sundays at a U.S. Open. That's what you do. What was the key to getting it done under this pressure today?
I got to give myself credit. I had so much patience today. I felt like if I could just stick in, and I said to Billy, funnily enough, I said, if I can hit 18 greens today, I'd like to think I've got a good chance, and near as damn it did it. But I just played so solid all day, and got a couple of nice breaks there on 15 and took advantage of it, and that's what it took in the end.
Well, sometimes you hit a big shot in a big moment, and they talk about it forever. I think that's going to be called the Fitzpatrick bunker down there now. Tell us about the shot at 18 out of the bunker with your second.
I'll be brutally honest. Me and Billy spent a couple times, quite a while talking about the 18th tee shot, undecided. I hit 3-wood today into the bunker, and if there was one shot that I've struggled with this year that I will just do not want, it's a fairway bunker shot. And I don't know, I guess sort of ability just took over, and it's one of the best shots of all time. Yeah, it's when I saw it leave the sand and I felt the strike, I was couldn't be happier.
You mentioned Billy Foster, your caddy, a major champion. He's been around so long.
Yeah, that's it.
And how about the Fulton family, the family you stayed with during the 2013 Amateur? I saw a great hug back here. Talk about what that connection has meant for you this week.
It's meant the world. I've obviously won here twice now. I'm trying to get every tour event around here and stay at the Fulton. So, but to have them, or to stay with them this week, has just made it so much more relaxing. There's been no pressure, and I've loved every minute of it.
You join Jack Nicklaus as the only golfers to win the U.S. Amateur and the U.S. Open Championship on the same course. Jack did it at Pebble Beach. You do it here. What does it mean to join Jack and join all the others as major champions in golf?
It means the world, and I don't know if Jack's listening to this, but he gave me a bit of abuse at the start of the year. I won the member at his club at the Bears Club, and he said, finally, congratulations on winning in the States. So I can go back to him that Jack, I've won a second time this year.
And you have Jack's medal around your neck. Congratulations, Matthew.
Thank you.
The United States Open champion, Matthew Fitzpatrick.
Once again, he lifts aloft that glorious silver trophy and then cradles it almost like a babe in arms, and a very reflective, smiling look on his face at the end of that interview. Also worth making the point that Julie Inkster has shared that similar feat of winning the US Amateur and the US Open on the same course, as well as Jack Nicklaus doing it in the men's game.
Very good, well done, Ian. Amazing to see Matthew Fitzpatrick there, big smile on his face, and really good to hear from him, particularly that relationship with Billy Foster. We've about a minute to go before we get off air, Ian. There will of course be plenty more reaction across 5 Live. What will this do for Matt Fitzpatrick now for you, Ian?
Well, I think it'll embolden him. I think it will reaffirm what he's always known, that he is a world-class talent. Remember, when he won that US Open, the US Amateur, the players who were in the field for that were included Justin Thomas, Scotty Scheffler, and all of that. So he's entitled to think, well, I sit alongside these guys at the very top of the game. He should be able to really kick on, but he's going to enjoy this for a while, I would imagine, and he's perfectly entitled to. And what a reception he'll get at St Andrews.
Oh, he certainly will, absolutely. There'll be plenty of receptions on the go in Sheffield and beyond for England's Matthew Fitzpatrick, who is the US Open champion. A wonderful final round from the boy from Sheffield. Big smiles on his face, big smiles, I'd imagine, on everyone listening. Thank you for keeping us company over the last few hours. To Ian Carter in Boston, already getting his coat on to go and interview Matt, to Catherine Downs, to Zane Scotland, thank you so much for your company. Thank you for listening. Up next here on 5 Live, it is How Do You Cope with Ellis and John.